Can everybody hear me? See if anybody can hear me. Can everybody hear me?
Yep, there it is.
There it is. All right, folks. Sorry about that. We're dealing with some technical issues. Installed new software, and obviously it's whatever. It doesn't seem to matter how much we upgrade. It keeps on doing what it does. Some bull.
Maybe Ted Kaczynski had a point. Getting tired of these gadgets.
So let's say he had a point in being against technology, not doing what he did. Let's not even say things like that, because we do not support what that guy did.
No.
In any shape or form. Please. Good God, I can't believe you just said that.
Can you hand that to Alec?
Folks, I'm not kidding. We do not support what that guy did. Okay? No shape or form. Please.
I'm just talking about smashing technology.
Okay, well, please, FBI, hear what we're not, whatever. Okay? My gosh, can't believe you just, yeah, that was ridiculous. So, folks, we moved. I'm sorry about last week. I'm sorry that the show started off crappy. Things are the way they are, whatever. We have a guest coming on tonight. But we have a show planned for you, and like always, we're going to rock it like we always do. We're going to do what we do. And we're going to be recording a couple episodes, and we're going to be dropping those pretty soon, so be on the lookout for that, because I have to get the people who just absolutely refuse to get off of Spotify or those other 12 platforms and join us here on YouTube. In YouTube land, as my friend, the late Brenton Swanwick, used to say, these people refuse to join. Can you turn the light on? I don't want to look orange and like I got chili on my face today. I don't care about.
I can change this light and make it look different.
Don't care. I just want the light on, please. So, what we're doing is what we're gonna do. You see there? There you go. I don't want to. I look like I have spaghetti on my face. Like the last two, I've had people tell me that. I don't want to look like a little fat kid eating spaghetti over here. I went to eat some Italian food. I smell it all over my face. You know, this guy's like, this guy's freaking stupid. Listen to him talk about ghosts. What's wrong with you? So we have a show planned tonight, and I'm going to tell you right now, we just moved. We moved into a new house, and you would think that knowing what I know about the paranormal, that you would be, hey, buyer beware. You got to be careful when you get a house, and it could be haunted. Well, guess what?
You were wrong.
You can pan over to these other guys if you think I'm joking. What do y'all think?
I mean, I haven't really experienced anything weird there, but like y'all have, and I believe y'all. It's just
they're talking. Okay. Can you pan the camera over to them, please? I could do a lot of things. I need a towel. What's happening over here?
I'm hoping that it's just one of the little people, so I can track him down and
capture him,
get rid of him.
Yeah, we're hoping it's not something too malevolent. I did notice some weird things. The people that lived there before had said, "Oh no, there's nothing here," blah 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 blah, and then we find out that the reason that we got into the house, they wanted to get out of the house. And so we're sitting here going like, maybe there is something going on here. And Alec, the first night you were there, and I don't know if you can get to the microphone or whatever. You just turn it towards him real quick. You were there by yourself. You went to the house, the first 4 or 5 days by yourself, right? Yeah. Okay. And you heard noises like a crash and a few other things, right?
Yeah, when I was on the phone one of the first nights there, I heard a loud crashing sound as if something had fallen to the ground. But it sounded like it came from within the walls.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so we've had some weird things. Karen Jensen just said that they're listening on other channels because they don't like the ads. Well, Karen, there's ads on the other channels too, only we're not getting anything from it.
Yep.
That's the problem. And they refuse to monetize us correctly. And so we have to do what we have to do. I can't do this show for free. Donations are not expected, but they are appreciated because it helps keep the show going. And right now, we could use the help. And so I'm just telling you.
I mean, it's Christmas time and moving and all that stuff, so
dude,
it's
not
tough.
It has not been cheap. I can tell you that right now. And we are trying to keep the show going. We had plans to do all kinds of stuff, to do a merchandise giveaway, which we're still going to try and do next week if we can get the shirts printed in time. And we're gonna do a dozen shirt giveaways, okay, as a promotion for the show. And then we're also going to do the regular giveaway tonight that we usually do. Now, I have not been able to get out. There's 4 people that need their stuff. I've not been able to get out there to get to you to get your stuff, but I'm planning tomorrow, hopefully, to get it done, because we still haven't got a darn Christmas tree up yet, and we have company coming into town on Christmas Eve, and then we have 3 white elephants we got to do.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3. Yeah, 3.
And then we also have to do our own Christmas. So, I mean, it's like, we're just all over the place.
Yeah, we're going to have to push ours back to next month because we don't.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's not like.
And we're okay.
We never really cared.
We're happy to have our house. And my brothers decided that they wanted to stay living at the other place. Scorpion, he wants to be there, and that's fine. So we divided up. We split up, and we're hoping that once we achieve our ultimate objective, we can all whatever. So Scorpion's renting over there, but he had a bedroom for the longest time at our other place. He was only there part-time, but now he's going to be there full-time now that we're gone. He's like, oh, y'all are leaving? Okay, I'll come back. Bye-bye, you know.
Thank you.
He's like, oh, your house is haunted? Sucks to be you. You know. Let me tell you what's happened so far to me, and then we're going to get into some shadow people. We're going to talk a little bit of Bigfoot. We're going to talk a little bit of Dogman because we don't know exactly what it is, and then we're going to talk about some other weird stuff. We're going to talk about Santa Claus, not tonight, but next Friday. I got enough now to do a show about Santa Claus, and I got 2 Krampus stories.
Heck yeah.
I only got 2. Hoping to get more, but that's, you know.
It's a rare one to get.
Yeah, I told them all, you know, and then I never really reloaded on that. And here at PRT, we try to give you everything we got. And this is one of the hats, too, we're going to do in the giveaways right here.
Can we get to the super chats before we?
Yes,
Yeah.
Do that. Hit that.
So,
hit the super
chat. She said, no need to apologize. We support you regardless, sir. That's much appreciated. Grace W, $20 super chat saying Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas to you, too.
Thank you.
Merry Christmas to all of y'all. Kimmy Star 333 for your $5 super chat. Thank you for that. And Aaron Shaw for your $20 goofy sticker super chat. That's cool. I like that.
Thank you also, Taylor. Hope the entity learns that it's unwise to haunt you, Wolf. Thank you for that 20.
I'm hoping that it's a physical tiny person and not a metaphysical thing.
Yeah, your hopes are probably going to be what is that?
You can get.
Look at it's a Sprite.
Yeah.
Or it's
a fairy.
There you go.
Drank some Sprite and spiked with something. So, folks, here's what's going on. I'm going to tell you what's happened so far to me and my wife. The weirdest and probably the creepiest thing so far, we were sound asleep in our bedroom. We'd already moved everything and unpacked a lot of stuff. And so we have this the bedroom, and there's like the bathroom is right there next to it. And it doesn't have a door. It just has like a curtain, like it's a big thick curtain, you know, but it's kind of, you know, I'm like, oh, okay, we're Japanese, you know, whatever. We're going to rice paper. But we hear kind of a splashing noise, and then we hear like splatting, like if you got out of the shower and your feet were wet and you had claws. And I'm not joking. I kid you not. I'm not joking. It woke me up out of a dead sleep, and I'm listening, and I'm going like, "What is that?" And my wife, it was loud. It was
I could hear the clicking of like the claws. Like
you don't know about this?
Well, no.
I mean, yeah, you said something. We heard about it.
I just haven't asked.
Yeah,
like, the
it was
details.
like, let me take these off here. It was like, but with claws.
Yeah,
and it was like wet.
That's crazy.
And so I told her, I said, "Did you hear that?" And she's like, "Yeah, I heard that." And she was like, "Oh my gosh." So then we have a guy that works for us, and he's actually Islamic, and he came over, And he started telling us about how to get rid of Jen and all this stuff. And then he goes over looks around the house, walks around the house, and Salo was like, "Oh, everything's fine. This is the place, whatever." But then he goes to this area under the stairs. We have these 2 stairs that go up like this that both meet like on a little platform type thing, and then they go up to the top floor. It's a really pretty nice house, older neighborhood, but all really nice, well-built houses. They built houses better back then. So he goes under the stairs and starts speaking in Arabic and saying a bunch of prayers and stuff.
Bismillah, which means
well, he said
Bismillah,
that, he said
Ar-Rahman,
inshallah, which he just
Yeah.
and he kept repeating things, and I'm like, and I was kind of in the next room, partway listening, and I came out of the kitchen. I'm like, what's going on? Why? And he was like saying that. The heck is that? And he was like saying that that we shouldn't give it any attention. But thank you, Aaron Shaw, for that donation. We appreciate that.
Thank
a
you
lot,
also, T.
more
Cutler.
than you could possibly know.
That's Aaron's second one of the night. He's really
Well,
knocking it
thank you,
down.
Aaron.
Oh, man,
He's carrying the
appreciate that.
banner for us. But anyway, there was something there, and then we had some weird energy going on in my study, which I haven't even gotten to hook up the computer yet and get started doing work in there. And I'm having some weird issues there. I was in the bathroom right by the study, and I heard footfall going by the door, and my wife was asleep. And the only one other in the house at that time was, I think, you, Alec, and you were upstairs asleep. I know it wasn't you. And I thought, well, that's weird. And I was just standing there by the sink. This was only in there for a few minutes, like a few seconds, whatever. And I walked out, and there was nothing there. And so that's been going on. We've been having some weird stuff happen. And now the people that used to live there, they seemed like nice people. I don't really know them. They left a bunch of stuff,
A lot of stuff.
a lot of stuff. And some of it we bought some furniture from them because they said, hey, we don't want to move all this furniture. Well, it's antique. And I'm not real big on antiques, and you know why. But we ended up buying some of it. And now I heard something in the armoire.
It's this big, like,
Big, yeah.
I don't know, it's just like 7 foot tall, maybe 8 foot tall
Oh, yeah,
armoire.
it's more than
huge.
7 foot tall. It's about 8 foot tall,
Yeah.
and it's gigantic. It's a wardrobe thing, and it's big oak or cherry wood, I guess. And I honestly, at one point, my wife had gone outside, or maybe she was going to the convenience store. I don't remember what she was doing. She usually like asked for permission to walk outside like she's supposed to, but I guess she decided to be all rebellious and just go out and do whatever she wanted, which that's not how I live my life. I'm like,
We didn't believe that in this
you're going to do what
household.
I say. You're going to do what I say. That's right. She's not here at the studio, so I'm talking crap. I'm joking, Nelly. Please don't hurt me. No, I'm sitting there, and she had gone outside, so I'm like sitting there, and the dogs had not come over yet from the old apartment because we were going to make sure that we got them their trifexas and all that stuff, with to get the fleas or anything that they could have. We were just overly cautious. We're like, hey, we're not bringing them to the house till we get everything clean, whatever. So they're still at the old place, and lo and behold, I hear something moving around in the armoire. Like I thought that Nelly it's so big, Nelly could get in there. Like 3 of her could get in there. I could get in there. And so, Aaron Shaw, thank you again for that donation. Don't go broke,
Yeah,
sir.
that last one's $50.
That's
Hey,
a lot.
man. Thanks
Appreciate
a lot.
it.
Thank you
man.
so much.
But so I thought she was in the armoire, which is weird. So I called and I said, hey. So I kind of thought I was going to like get a phone ringing in the armoire, and it didn't happen. And it didn't even happen in the house. And so I'm going like, where is she? And then she's like, I'm outside with Winter. That's the dog in the backyard. It's technically Alec's dog, but we've kind of all taken a liking to her. She's a sweet dog. So Nelly was out there with her, and she's like, I'm outside with Winter. And I'm like, what? Like, and so I go up and I look out the window, and there she is on the patio. And what's going on here? Like, why is this? What is in the armoire? Like, what is that? So I got my, home protection, and I looked,
Empty.
there was nothing there. I mean, and then one day I yelled upstairs because I was about to go grab some food because we hadn't had our dishes set up yet. So we was going to get something to eat, and I said, hey guys, what do y'all want to eat? And I heard talking. I heard a conversation going on between Anthony and I thought your mom. Mm-hmm. I thought you and Rahina were on the phone together, and I was like, oh, and I told Nelly, I said, he's talking to his mom, and she's like, "Oh, okay." And we both heard it. Like she stood there, and she was like, "Well, let's just go get. Well, he's busy. Let's just get him. We'll text him or whatever." So we're getting ready to walk, and I look, and Anthony's truck's not. He's not there. And nobody's there. It's just me and her. And I looked at her, and I was like, "This is weird." And then another time I walked out into the garage, and when the door closed like kind of hard behind me, and I'm like, "What the heck was that?" So I go to because we have a refrigerator out in the garage, and so I go in the garage, and I get a with these drinks, we call them 1877. They're from HEB, and I got one. I was walking back, and I heard them roll in the fridge, and I'm like, "Whoa, that's weird." So I walked back over to the fridge, and nothing was out of place, but I heard something like in the laundry room, and so I was like, "Dude, this is so weird." And then like 2 or 3 times, one time we have a sitting room, so we were all sitting there, and I was talking to Alec. And Tony and you, Anthony, y'all two were both on the to the right of me, I guess. Mm-hmm. And we were talking, and when I was talking to Alec, I looked over and I saw something move in my bedroom. And then the next night, I thought I was losing my mind. I was walking by, and I looked up, and I could see your bedroom from downstairs, Anthony, and I thought I saw something walk into your bedroom, so I thought that was you. So I said, "Hey, Anthony." And you said, "Yeah," and you were in the kitchen. And I thought... But then y'all two were at work, so I don't know who that was or what that was. And I said, that okay, if Nellie's down here with me, the animals weren't there yet other than the ferrets. We have the ferrets up there because the ferrets used to hang out up here. But anyway, we decided to go and take them and put them in the house, whatever. And I could not figure out who that was. And I was just like too tired. We've been moving all day to go and look to see if there was even somebody up there because I could have swore I saw a person, But I think it was like a shadow, because it just looked like a person. And so I don't know what's going on. I'm just trying to figure this out. I don't like it. I don't want this to be going on. And so we were in the sitting room again the next day, and I saw something move in the kitchen. And I'm going like, this is not happening. This cannot be happening. I do not want to live. And it wasn't like that in my old place. What is this bug that's like it's like a green moth or something in here?
It's crawling on the wall now.
What the heck is going on? Okay, so anyway, I don't know why this is happening. So I'm sitting here going like, this is crazy. So a friend of ours came over and he said, "I'm going to pray. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that." I don't know. Any prayer will help, but I don't want that to be. I don't want this to be happening. I don't mind talking about it. I'd rather not live through it again because I've done it already. It's not something it's already on my resume, living in a haunted house. I don't need it to happen again. So God bless and Merry Christmas, PRT crew and chat. Fistful of groovy.
Thank you for that $10.
Yeah.
Thank you for Not App for the $5. If you're interested in learning the depths about what jinn really are, I recommend getting a man called Nineveh Shadrach on your show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll consider it. But there is a lot of different things that could be going on. Like if you build a house, I was talking to an Irish guy the other day. We were actually at a place buying furniture, and he was from Ireland. What town did he say he was from, Anthony? He said it was in south northern Ireland, south of Belfast or something.
Yeah, it was a weird.
His name was Niall.
Yeah, it was a weird name. I forget. It was like a small town.
We were talking about the Banshee, and then we kind of talked about fairies, and I told him, I said, we didn't build this house, so I mean there might have been mounds there. You got to be careful when you build. You don't know what it could be. It's just the way it is. I'm a big believer in that stuff. I wouldn't be doing what I do if I didn't believe it myself. Speaking of that, let me give you a ghost story here. We're going to start. How about this? We'll let the audience decide as always. I got a good ghost story I can tell you. It's pretty creepy. Or we can get into some shadow people and we can talk about that until my guest comes on in the next 35 minutes. Aaron, thank you once again for that donation. I hope this is Aaron and not like his kid got on there.
Oh, man.
He's just like giving away money.
Man.
Merry
Aaron,
Christmas to
we
you,
appreciate
Aaron.
it, Aaron. Aaron, give us your address. Hit me up on Messenger or email, and I will send you some PRT swag. You've definitely earned it, sir. So anybody who's interested in helping out with the show, Patreon.com/PRT podcast. Once we get enough Patreon people, I'm trying to get 100 to 200 people in there. Then I'm going to start producing Patreon only content because I have to try to make enough money to keep the show going. So we appreciate it. I know times are tough for everybody, and we're no exception. It's the same with us. We're trying to keep it together. But anyway, the new house is kind of, I don't know, man. I'm happy, but I'm also kind of leery at this. Let's put it that way. I'm kind of leery that we could be dealing with something I don't want, and I don't know if it's one of the objects that we obtained, or if it's the house. And I don't, or if it's us. Maybe it's, but I mean, it wasn't happening at the old place.
That armoire, it seems like it's bad mojo on that. I don't know. If you're hearing it like directly inside, then that seems like something that might be attached to that. But, I mean, I
only heard it one time like that, and I heard it creak, because of the cold.
Yeah.
But that was the only thing that's happened with that armoire. But I've seen things in all parts of the house now. But I'm more sensitive to that stuff, Eve, thank you for that donation. We appreciate it. And everybody's putting the little hippo deals on there. Trying to tell me something. I thought I was more of a rhino, but I guess I'm a hippo now. Rhino claw.
Rhino fang.
Eagle fang. Eagle fang karate. Ha! Here's the thing. We have had issues with stuff before. And so I will give you a quick story. I got this one. This was out of Massachusetts, and actually, of all places, Boston. And this person they moved into an apartment, and they began to immediately have trouble with shadows. I don't mean like they were seeing their own shadow going, oh my God, It wasn't like that. I know this person, and they're not really a skittish person. He's a tattoo artist, and I've known him for years. And he hit me up and said, hey, I got a story for you. I know you do a show. And he's like, I moved to Boston. Then from there, he moved to New York. So he was downgrading all the way. But he was living in Boston, and he said that he had gone to on a date with this girl, and they had gone to see the Red Sox. No, I don't have a problem. I like the Red Sox because I hate the Yankees. But anyway, they went to a baseball game, and after the game, he didn't know this girl that well. But she said, hey, let's go back to my place and have a few drinks. And he's like, okay, let's go back to your place and have a few drinks. So they went back to her place. And he said it was the boringest time ever. All we did was watch, what's that show with the three witches?
Friends. Oh,
no.
Hocus Pocus?
No, with the show. It's a show. And he said all he did was watch 2 or 3 episodes of that.
Sabrina?
No.
Sailor Moon.
There's 3. There's don't. It's not.
Charmed?
Charmed. Is that what it's called?
I think you're thinking of
There's
Charmed.
like 3 witches on there.
No, I've never seen it.
I think it's Charmed you're thinking of. It's like 3 sister witches, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I think Cindy used to watch that.
Yeah, everyone else in the chat is saying Charmed. So
Yeah, okay, Charmed. Okay. Anyway, he said it was so boring that all they did was watch the show. And then after they watched there's the 3rd episode, he's kind of like, oh, I'm getting tired. I gotta get out of here. And so he tells her, he makes up an excuse, and he says, yeah, I got to get up early tomorrow to go see a man about a dog work type stuff, dinner, breakfast, something. He said he made up some bull crap. And she's like, oh, okay, well, that's cool, And then she's like, I wanted to show you something. And then she tells him, okay, that she's a witch. This is my friend Rock, by the way. And Rock was like, okay. And Rock, because we call him because he's a big, strong guy. And Rock's like, I don't know about all that. What are you going to show me? So she says, she opens up this big leather-bound book and starts to show him all this stuff. And she said, yeah, this was a journal that was written back in the 1700s. And part of it, this is what she told Rock, that it was written in blood. Now, I remember when Rock first told me and my brother this story, and me and my brother were brainstorming the other day, and he was like, why don't you talk to Rock and see if you can get that story from him? So I reached out to him, and he told me, he says, hey, man, I can, yeah. And so we talked. So he said he was in her apartment for another 5 minutes after the book made its appearance, and it had a handprint on it that was really big, and it was like it looked dark, like it was dark,
really?
Like it was like blood, like rusty color. And so he said, he goes, dude, she grabs his hand and puts his hand on the print, and he said it felt hot. And so immediately he pulls it off and he's like, what are you doing? And he said that all he remembers is the fingers were about that. And this is a big guy. He's not huge, but he's a big, you'd think he was a bodybuilder because he works out all the time. He said that the fingers were about that much taller, longer than his fingers. And he said, Wolf, I'm not joking. It looked like an NBA basketball player on steroids' hand. And he's like, I was like, what is this? The hand of a Bigfoot, you know? So he pulls it away and he goes, I don't know what that is or why you're, you know, and he goes, and then she's like, well, I'm just messing with you. I'm just messing with you. You know, and then he realized she was like wearing like this weird looking robe like thing that he didn't even notice because he was just trying to be amorous or whatever. So he bolts out of there. Well, later that night, he wakes up in a cold sweat. He feels like he's got a fever. He's got like the chills and all this stuff. And he feels sick. And he's like, dude, that woman did something to me, you know, something. So he went into to get this is where it gets even weirder. He goes into the kitchen, and he said he hadn't been living in his apartment for very long, and he stumbled in there, and he said, dude, I made some coffee. And he goes, and I went to take a drink of it, dude, and I felt like it was like there was some kind of slime or goo going up onto my top lip, going into my nose.
Gross.
And he goes, I go to pull it down, and there's this black that's almost like two black fingers, like black, you know, coming off of the coffee mug. He's like, it's like venom. You see venom, you know, and the blackness, the darkness. Yeah. And he's like, dude. And I said, oh, come on, Rock. You probably just went to sleep reading Lovecraft, you know, like, come on, I'm joking around, you know. And he's like, no, Wolf, I'm being serious. It was like something trying to go up my nose. And then he said he pulled the mug away, and it detached, and it was like goo floating around the top of his coffee. And so he went to throw it out, and like it just dribbled out. And then the coffee mug shook, and he dropped it. Then he wakes up, and it's morning. And he's like, whoa, what the heck? Was that a dream? You know, what just happened to me? So he goes into the kitchen, and there in the kitchen is a coffee mug. So he did drink coffee, but he said, dude, I'm one of those, and I know this about him too. I used to hang out with the guy. He's originally from Chicago. And Chicago people are crazy, man. Believe me, I spent some time up there. So he's crazy, man. But he said, dude, I'm a compulsive, you know, I put sugar and cream in my coffee. So I go in there and he has this creamer, you know, he had this, whatever, hazelnut, I think he said. He opened the refrigerator and there's none in there. So he goes to the trash can, he looks, he said, I didn't make no coffee last night. It's impossible. I would never have drank black coffee like that. Like, he said, it must have been a dream. He said it was like a dream-like state that he was in. So he said, dude, at that point, he's laying there. He goes back down, he lays back down in the bed, and he's looking up, you know, and he said, I'm just literally like this, just laying there, you know, with my arms, whatever. He goes, I'm looking up, and I see like what looks like a black, thin crack on the ceiling that it just starts to expand and turns into like a puddle. And then he says he just sees like a teardrop, like bloop, and it just drops, and then it just becomes like a form. Like it comes up, and it becomes like a weird, shadowy form. And he's like, dude, I don't know what this is. I'm looking at it, and it's like just an amorphous, you know, like whatever you call it. Like a, you know, it's just like in the shape of a humanoid, yeah, but it has no features at all, nothing. And so he said he got freaking scared. So he's screaming, and like, you know, like he said, I let out a scream. And this guy, he's kind of a tough guy. I've known him for years. I think he's the kind of guy who's not going to, you know, he's not going to tell you. He probably was freaking out worse than he's going to tell me. You know what I mean?
Oh, he downplay it.
Yeah, he downplayed like, oh, I got kind of scared. You know, like I let out a yell, and he goes, and this thing reacted, and it just like moved back and forth, and then went through the wall. So he said he just laid there. And, of course, he had one friend that he knew from work where he was working at the tattoo place, and he calls him. He says, hey, I got something going on in my apartment, you know, whatever. And this guy tells him, this guy that was his friend, whatever, was from Connecticut. And he says, dude, all these places over here in New England, they're all haunted. You know, everywhere you go is haunted. And he said, no, but this thing is a different animal. There's something going on. Like, I think this woman that I went to, I touched this book, you know, and he told him, so they went and got coffee. For real coffee. And he said that we talked about it. And so he went back to my place. He said as soon as he walked in there, he felt like a wave of heat. And then when he went through that wave, everything in the apartment was cold. And so he said, dude, I can't be in this house. I can't be in this apartment. There's something wrong with this place. And so they took off, And his only friend was like, I'm never coming over there. I don't want to be at your house, So anyway, a couple weeks go by, and he starts dating this other girl. And she comes over, and I think he said she was not Dominican. She's from Tobago. Or maybe it was Trinidad. I think it was Tobago. But anyway, she's an islander, right? She comes over, and she's like, oh, you got something wrong here. She's like, you've been cursed. Somebody cursed you. And when he told her the story, he says, yeah, I touched something, blah, blah, blah. She goes, well, you have something in this apartment, and you need to get rid of it. It's not good. So she said, he said that she went out of her way to tell him how to get rid of it. She said, you go down, there's this little bodega down there, a little store. And she's like, you go down there and talk to this guy, and in the back, he'll give you a phone number. It's real, like secret squirrel, whatever. So he goes in there. First, the guy acts like he don't know anything, don't want to deal with him, whatever. And he said, oh no, Cecilia told me to come here, blah blah blah. She says, oh okay. So they go to the back. They talk to him. They give him the phone number to this lady. She's basically like a witch doctor. Well, she comes into the apartment that night before that lady showed up. That night, he went to sleep waiting for her to knock on the door. He says about 9:30. I wake up to something straddling me that felt like it had little nodule spikes on it or something, like on its skin. He's like, imagine a lizard, the way a lizard feels, but little nodules on it. He starts feeling on this thing. And he said, dude, there's something completely just wrong with this, whatever this is. And so he feels on it, and it feels like little spikes. And he says it cuts him. He cuts his hand, and he's looking at his hand, and once again, it's this weird thing where he's just like, the cut gets deeper and deeper, starts to bleed, and then he wakes up again, and he's like, dude, I have never been one of these people that has these, what do you call those, real vivid
like
dreams.
Vivid, recurring.
Yeah, but he didn't use the word vivid. He said it was like realistic dreams, where it feels like you're you're really in this reality, but you're not. And I said, well, at that point, I gave him some advice. I said, dude, you are crazy. Seek the medical. I didn't, and Rock, I'm not going to talk about you like that. You know that, buddy.
The worst part of the story is that his date was boring and crazy.
Yeah.
Usually you only get one of those. He managed to find both.
And Anthony, if you've heard this before, don't give it away. But anyway, there's this weird thing that happens to this guy, right? So he wakes up. Just then he hears bam, 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 right? Knocking on the door, right? He opens the door, and it's right on midnight, right at midnight, right? It's the woman that he went on the date with. Ugh. And she shows up, and then she just he goes, it was like she glided into the apartment. He goes, I backed up several feet, and I was like, what are you doing here? And she's like, well, you wanted someone to get rid of your curse, didn't you? And he's like, why are you in my apartment? And then she's like, I'm going to help you. She's like, you touched that book, and there's something now. It's I'm going to help you get this. So then he sits down at the table, and he thinks, well, this is probably my only way out. He's like, look, you put my hand on that thing, and this woman says, no, I did not. She's like, but someone did put your hand on that thing. Then she goes, oh, I know what's going on. You're seeing me as the person that put this curse on you. And he's like, what are you talking about? And she's like, so she stands up, puts her hands on him, starts to pray. So this woman's like praying like a prayer, takes a rosary and puts it on his head, does all this other stuff, puts oil on his forehead, whatever. He sits down at the table. He opens his eyes, and it's this heavy-set, Hispanic-looking woman.
Totally different woman.
And he's like, and she's like, you were seeing the, what your curse, she put that curse on you, and you were seeing her. She was like trying to fool you. It's like blinding you. So you couldn't see me, you were seeing her.
Yeah, because then you would say, get away.
Yeah, he was trying to reject. So the spirit was there trying to get him to reject her.
Right.
And she's trying to pray for him and pray over him. And he said it was like off and on all night long. He would see her, then see that, and then he started getting this fevery feeling. So he laid down, and she kept praying over him, and he would sweat, and eventually he said he looked down, and his sweat looked like this black tar looking
like
stuff.
ink coming off him?
Yeah, ink, yeah. Well, because your mom has done ceremonies and stuff, and I've heard stories about stuff coming out of people, and it looked like black ink. He sweated out, and it came out, and she would catch the sweat into a bowl, and then she put a top on it, and she took it out, and then she threw it out. She took it with her, and then the next day she came back and she had 4 eggs that she had placed underneath the bed, and she took them, and then she left, and she put salt around the house and all this other stuff and burned some kind of incense, and that was it. No more whatever, and. But that wasn't the end. It was the end of what happened in his apartment. But his neighbor across the hall, it was a female that he became kind of friendly with, whatever. She comes out of the room, and this is the girl that he was kind of started seeing, dating, whatever. She says she was seeing a shadow, but it was in the hall, and it was standing at the end of the hall, and it just looked like a weird-looking, hunched-over shadow of a humanoidal figure. And he said it was very much like the thing that he had seen. And he was sitting there going like, dude, she's over here looking down the hall, seeing this weird looking thing at the end of the hall. That's what he saw, And so he was just like, dude, I wasn't seeing it anymore, but what became his girlfriend, she was seeing it. And so that's a weird story, so I don't know what to make of that. I mean, it's very terrifying, that you could just go to a ball game with some girl.
Go on a date, and, thinking you might get, have a good time, and all of a sudden you come back and have a boring time, and then you get cursed because of it.
Yeah, watch out for red flags, like being into witch shows and witchcraft and all that stuff.
I mean, obviously, I think if he was told beforehand, like, oh, this is a witch, he wouldn't have gone out with her.
Well,
I don't think anybody would.
A lot of people identify themselves as witches. So it's like there's a lot of people. I know women who say, "Oh, I'm a witch." They practice certain type, whatever, and it's like herbalism or some sort of like whatever
mild form.
Yeah, you're not like that's not what we're dealing with here. This person pulled out a grimoire, which is what I can tell you. That's what that was. And it was bound in some sort of weird leather. Who the heck knows what? I'm not going to speculate and say it was something, which she claimed was, over 280 years old or some crap. And then she put his hand on it.
Written in blood.
Yeah. And it was supposedly, it was like a bloody handprint somebody's hand was put there. And it attached something to him. And I think she thought it was cute. She probably got some kind of energy out of it. I think hers went a little deeper than being like somebody who practices Wiccan or whatever you call it and does the earth thing and, whatever, herbal medicine, whatever. That's not what this was. This was
something there's like nature witches and then there's black witches.
Yeah, she wasn't a nature witch.
She was a black witch doing black magic or whatever.
And so I think that this was a form of brujeria, just like we would say in Spanish, but she was Caucasian. She wasn't Hispanic or anything, but the woman that helped him was a Hispanic lady, but he didn't know who, he never saw her again after she came and got the eggs. When he tried to talk to her, she just put her finger over her mouth like that, so shh, and then just walked out. So he never spoke to her again.
That egg stuff works. My mom used to put an egg under my bed every time I got sick. Mm-hmm. She'd crack it in the morning, and it was always like the yolk was black.
Mm-hmm.
Yep,
that's what it does. And and so if you're familiar with that, then you will know. What is this, paratroopers? A symbol? We do not know if something serious is occurring. What does that mean?
I think he might be watching the stream like way behind when we were talking about the house, the new house. Because sometimes people will do that. They'll leave comments pertaining to stuff we talked about 10 minutes ago because they don't realize they're not watching it live.
Yeah. Thank you, Ruby, for the donation, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
Somebody says...
It was 100 Norwegian kroners, which is about $10, and it's very much appreciated.
Thank you. So somebody says here, a bruja, he was helped out by a bruja. No, a bruja is what put the curse on him. He was helped out by a curandera. A curandera is the blanco, and the other one is the black. So, but here's the thing. I got another story, and it's about shadows. And we were going to get into some stuff about shadows tonight with my godson, but we're going to wait till next week to do that.
I wanted to add something real quick to the story we just went over, because it just came to me like last night. I was actually, cause sometimes I'll listen to like sermons on YouTube, and one of them in a nutshell was about guarding your heart. It was like young men and women guard your hearts. and it pertains to this story because in the Bible it says, "Be ye not unequally yoked." For what? How does it go? What brotherhood have righteousness with unrighteousness? Something like that. I'm paraphrasing, but it very much pertains to this story, because this woman was probably an attractive woman, and there might have been like signs that maybe she's not on the up and up, but
He ignored it.
yeah, because she's
Of your heartly
she's probably
desires.
attractive,
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Well, he met her at the gym.
yeah.
He didn't meet her at a bar.
Yeah.
That's where I met all mine, except for Nelly and Carmen. It's only two there, but and it always worked out real well, didn't it?
But yeah, you can't let what your eyes see blind what your spirit knows,
Yeah, and luckily for me, I did meet Nelly, and she has helped me, strengthened me spiritually. Today I was just watching her, just watching her talk on the phone, and watching how she moved, and just thanking God and appreciative that I have that. She's somebody that does take care of me when I have health issues and things like that.
Yeah. I mean,
she's a pain in the ass. Don't get me wrong.
I was gonna say, like, she even goes overboard a little bit. She takes care of you to the point to where, like, sometimes like she really just cares for you, and it's like sometimes it's like, hey, he's okay right now. We don't have to be so.
Yeah, I get kind of weirded out when I'm like walking through Sam's and my diaper's full.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of like, stinky, and then I have to go, and then she lays me down on that big.
I'm ready.
Thing inside. Look at Alex looking over. Your dad never told you about that? That I had to get my diaper changed by my wife?
You didn't know that? We used to have to change his diaper before Nelly came.
They used to have to do it before she came.
We thought that was actually going to be your role, but
You know that?
we didn't know if you were ready
just sit
for
there
it.
and go pooped them. That was it. That was my cue. Your mom used to help out too. They used to change my diaper.
Yeah. Yeah, he'd poop and
You don't know whether I'm being
yeah,
serious
he'd poop
or
and then yell across the house, "I finished."
I finished.
That's your brother. Oh, I don't want to put Gordo on the spot. We already talked about it before, though. But Gordo Anthony's little. Tell the story, Anthony.
Okay, well, and I don't have to worry about my brother getting all mad because he's not watching this anyway.
Yeah.
So my younger brother, he was the baby of the family, and of course, if you're the baby, you get babied because that's how.
You have three brothers, but he's the youngest.
Yeah, he was a little baby, and no one could tell him anything, or mom would get all mad and yell at us and hit us, whatever. So he didn't learn to wipe his own butt. Like he was like 7 years old, not wiping himself, right? And I'm the oldest. I'm the firstborn. So and my mom, God bless her heart, she's always working. So I was pretty much the babysitter, and like what he would do is he would just take his 7-year-old butt and take a dump in the toilet, and then just yell across. He'd open the door, and then yell across the house, "I finish!" And then I would have to go in there, he's 7 years old, and wipe his butt. And if I didn't, then my mom would like yell at me and make me do it. And
yeah, but that ended because my mother
got onto her.
She went off on that crap.
Yeah.
No pun intended.
Well, I mean, I understand that. I mean, I think up to 7, I had something similar where my sister had a shower for me.
Yeah.
Where she would just get it ready, get the bath ready, and then she would just have to watch over me as I showered. And then eventually, like, I remember someone coming in. She was like, why the heck are you doing that? He's already 7. He's a grown kid. Just let him do it on his own. Especially if you're just watching over him in the bathtub.
That's the exact opposite of my mom.
Yeah.
My mom was like a reptilian mom. What do you call it? Like an alligator?
crocodilian.
They have the babies, and they're like, they kick the dirt.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, you're on your own.
Makes them stronger.
And good luck.
And you're grown now.
Should he be playing with y'all's German Shepherd? He'll live. Oh, the German Shepherd just bit him a couple times. He's fighting back. He's got a stick. He's winning.
It builds character.
Oh, he's up the tree now. Oh, okay. Well, we'll get him down later. I'm going to watch Young and the Restless. That was my mother's, like, I'm just kidding, folks. It wasn't that bad. But let's put it this way. I was shooting pistols when I was like 6 or 7 out the window. So, yeah, it was pretty, I grew up I grew up differently. By the time I was 16, I was a grown ass man. I ain't bull. I ain't BSing.
All right, real quick. Dark Waters came in and said, "Be ye not unequally yoked together with unbelievers. For what fellowship hath righteousness with unrighteousness, and what communion hath light with darkness?"
There it is.
Yeah.
Thank you,
for
Dark Waters.
Thank you for the assist.
Thank you,
Dark
DW,
Waters.
for the assist.
Appreciate that.
So here's the thing. We're on the subject of shadow people. I got another one, a quick one for you before we get going, and we got to call. We'll see, what time is it?
8:51.
8:51. I probably don't have time, but we'll tell it after our guest comes on. Let me get on that. Yeah, I remember the whole I finished thing, and I was over there, and I told my mom, I said, man, this is ridiculous.
Well, I mean, you were the baby before Gordo came, or before even your sister came, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. How old apart?
I mean, like I was babied, but like I was babied in different ways. I was spoiled by me being allowed to be a picky eater, and me being allowed to have these weird quirks where my food couldn't touch, or I wouldn't eat it. I just bury my head in my mom's shoulder and be like, whatever. I mean, I'm not ashamed of it because I didn't know no better. I was just a little baby.
Yeah.
I was a spoiled little brat. I didn't ask to be spoiled. I just was.
But you, that all ended like almost overnight when Gabby was born.
How different, or like what's the age difference between y'all?
Between me and Gordo, or me
Me
and
and
Gabby?
you and Gabby.
7 years.
Yeah,
no, it's me and
7
Leah,
years.
so I understand that.
Yeah. So.
Because I was a little baby too until Leah came, and all of a sudden it was like tossed aside.
No, that's what happens, and then you resent them, but then
You can't really.
You
I
become
mean,
a babysitter.
yeah.
So we got to call this person. Let me get going on that, folks. Oh, and it's been hectic, folks, trying to getting the show done, with the move and all that, getting everything. It's just been really hectic. It's been hard. I'm surprised we were able to get in here today. We were walking around. My back is hurting from lifting so much stuff, dude. I'm not joking. It's been. The garage looks like it.
It's boxes
I mean,
everywhere.
it looks like a homeless camp.
I mean,
stuff.
me and Alec has spent pretty much the entire day yesterday just building stuff and putting stuff together to get rid of those boxes, and it doesn't seem like it ends.
It's been rough. Yeah. Let's see if I can get this going here. Uh-oh. Did we just go offline? Okay, it looked like I did something. Doop. Let's see.
Let me see how many.
Okay. I'm gonna need these headphones. Hate these things. All right, we're calling our guest, folks.
We have about 255 people watching.
I don't hear anything in these headphones.
With 117
Hello?
likes.
Hi.
So.
There's nothing coming through the headphones. Hang on 1 second. Hello?
Hi.
No sound. More technical problems.
What's the setting on Facebook Messenger?
Hold on 1 second.
Okay.
Okay, so apparently they can hear her, but we can't.
Oh, okay. Well, that's...
Well, then just give
So
us
it's not a problem with Streamlabs. It's a problem with going to the Facebook Messenger settings and look up what the audio output source is.
Bear with me, folks.
No.
I can't hear anything out of these headphones.
Can't hear her at all.
Okay, there we
Okay.
go. There we go.
I got
There it
you
is.
now, Krista. I think I got you. Sorry. Okay. We're usually more professional in this, but everybody decided to, I guess, eat DMT or something before the show. So, whatever. I'm kidding. We don't do that here. But we don't
How are you?
hang out with the machinos. How are you?
I am wonderful. Doing
Yeah.
great tonight.
So, unfortunately, you had an issue. Your pal. I want to say my condolences for your loss.
Thank you.
It took
I appreciate that.
for you to be here, and I appreciate you being here.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But like death is not the end. And a lot of people have a hard time understanding that. But believe me, it's not. I mean, my wife just recently, I think about a week ago, right when we first moved into the new place, she dreamed of my mother, and it was very real. And my mom, she's, I can feel her sometimes. I can tell, especially when I get mad. Yeah. I can feel her. I can hear her telling me to behave and be quiet and not be so aggravated.
Absolutely. My mom, tomorrow will be a week, and this week I have felt her very strong around me. So I wholeheartedly agree with you. Yeah. I really feel her when I'm having my breakdowns, my bad times. Mm-hmm. It's like she's there. And as my grandma too. I lost my grandma 10 years ago, who I was very close to. And both of them, I feel them both. And it comforts, very comforting.
Yeah. And that's the thing. I know different cultures have different beliefs and how long you're given to be around your loved ones. I know there were some people that were Iraqi, and Iraqis are not like people think. It's not like they're all just one people. There's like several different people living in Iraq, and when they drew those lines, for the borders, they just kind of
they ignored
tribal boundaries, but they were a particular group of people from the southeastern part of Iraq, and but they believed that the soul got 40 days, and so there was a grandfather, or I guess the oldest person there, he was a grandfather, and he had his wife, and then his son and his son's wife, and they had 3 children. And I remember we ended up helping them move. And when they were in Iraq, one of them was a doctor, and the wife was what the heck was she? They both had really good jobs. Like, they were not. And then when they came here, all he could do was work at a pharmacy. It was pretty sad. But they spoke several languages. He was a very intelligent guy. He was a doctor, and he was telling me about their belief. It was a type of Islam, but they also had a different slant to it. I can't remember what it was called. It's been about 10 years since but he had told me that after his dad had passed, because he used to always sit outside, and he was always real friendly, to always wave. And he said that he was feeling him. So one day I was walking by there, and I kid you not, I look over and I see him. His name was Arslan, and he waved, and I waved, and I was like, I looked again, and there was nobody there. Do you remember that family, Anthony?
I remember.
Yeah, and I thought, I was like, I just saw Arslan, and I was like, I went back inside, and I told my brother, and I told Anthony, I said, I just saw him sitting on the porch, and I waved. And it was about a month after he had passed, and then his son had said, he goes, we for 40 days, our people, we believe that they are allowed to, have this
say
time.
Goodbye.
Yeah. To say goodbye. Wow. But so I believe that is the case, and I think that people stick around to get things in order. There are some people who believe like you pass and that's it. You go up or down, and there's no in between. I don't believe that. And then some people believe you just go to sleep and then you don't wake up till judgment. I don't believe that either. And they base a lot of this on very loose textual stuff. And one of the things that somebody was kind of arguing with me the other day on Facebook, of course, because Facebook is where all the smart people go to argue. And they were telling me that my beliefs were way off, and you need to reread the Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. And I was like, do you know that all of those were written 200 or 300 years after Christ was alive?
Right.
And this person didn't even know that. And I was like, well, and a lot of it was based upon the Apostle Paul, and so and then you have different, like the Apocalypse of Paul, and then you have these different texts, like Peter. People don't realize that in the codices he wrote too, and those actually are more accurate and probably predate those other gospels, because some of it can be contradictory too. And I tell people,
Right.
you know, there is you have to have discernment, and you can say one thing in one gospel, and some people say, hey, well, that gospel's not correct, this gospel's correct. And I think it's all just it's all just relative. But people, they take comfort in different things, and they like to pick and choose what
Right.
they want to hear. Islam's the same
Absolutely.
way, you know. But your
Yeah.
truth is your truth, and what you feel. And if you feel that she's around, I don't doubt you. I believe it 100%.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, you were talking about, you know, the different religions and stuff too. I am 100% a Christian. I believe in God, 110%. And you know, there's a lot of people that I've went to church with in the past, you know, who don't agree with what I do. You know, they think it's wrong that I'm doing the devil's work, and you know, I have actually been accused of being a devil worshiper, and it's like, you know, I tell people, you know, when we go into these homes to help people, you know, the single mom with 3 kids who's scared to death, you know, of a haunting, you know, are you going to go in and help her? Who does she call? You know, so, and I'm not knocking religion. I'm truly not, because I believe, you know, I believe 110% in God and Jesus, the whole 9 yards. But, you know, I just feel that there's more to it, you know, and I think in religions, people, it's what they're taught, you know, what they grow up with. And a lot of them are closed-minded in a way, you know, in a sense.
Yeah, and it comes from a lack of understanding. When I told this one lady, she works at a grocery store where we go to, and actually, Tony, you were with me that one night, and we started. I gave her a card, and I said, "If you have any questions, hit me up." Well, she did, and she started asking me, because her mother was a Christian. She's a Pentecost, but she claims non-denominational, but it's really Pentecost what she is, and I'm not knocking Pentecost, but
Right.
I don't believe like any one particular religion. I think a lot of people don't understand that there's right and wrong in all religion, because we're
Right.
humans and we're fallible. So she asked me a couple questions, and I told her what I thought. And I said, no, this is what I believe and what are my truths. I'm not telling you what to believe. But her mom was saying, well, anytime there's a spirit, it's always going to be of the devil.
Right.
And I told her that's absolutely not correct. That is not correct. That is very incorrect. And a lot of what people were doing when they wrote in these books, and all of them, they were going by what they felt. And so you can get 2 different types of Islamic, like you can take a Sunni and a Shiite, and they will both tell you that they're correct and they feel it in their heart, and the other one is wrong. You can get a Catholic and a Protestant, and they'll tell you that I feel it in my heart and the other one's wrong. So people will argue religion all day long. There's Taoist, and everything in between. Shintoist, and there's all different types of Hindu. There's all different types of
Buddhists.
Buddhists. Yeah, like, that's why I said Shinto. You know, they don't all believe the same. But I think it's kind of like, I always tell people, it's like a star fell from the sky, and each one of us grabbed a shard of it and said, "Hey, look, I found this truth." But the thing is,
Right.
everyone else has a piece of the truth too. Now, I'm not into this one world government or one world religion, and we're all just going to have a giant bowl of food and everybody's just going to eat a little bit and we're all going to love each other. That's not how the world works. That's not reality. But the
Right.
reality is, you will find your truth on your own path. And if you
Absolutely.
don't, you may have to come back and do it again. And unfortunately, for people who don't want to believe in that they're diehard set against that, they're basing it on one passage in the Bible. And where Jesus says it is for a man to be born once, but once and die once. Yes, as you will be born once and die once, but I guarantee you, you can come back on the wheel of Dharma and do it again. And that's something that I guarantee you Christ understood. I can't speak for the man, but I know that he traveled for 20 years, because the Gospels are missing 20 years of his life. Now, you can go into the codices and you can find the books that were found in the Nagamati Desert, and they will talk about Christ having traveled, and they'll talk about him. And the Gospel of Thomas is very interesting, because it talks about him as being a little child and how he was before he grew into his Christhood. Isis, or Yeshua, however you want to say his name, Isis was not, he wasn't always like, the profound whatever, he in the Gospel of Thomas, it talks about him pushing another child off of a roof.
Right.
And the child died. But then Jesus is like, don't panic. I got this. So Jesus resurrected him. Just like whenever Lazarus was dying, they said, tarry not, for, your friend is dying, and Jesus just took his time. And of course, Lazarus had already been dead. And when he got there, he was like, rise, and he rose him back up. Part of that was proving a point that, though he were dead, though that believeth in me, yet, though he were dead, yet shall he live. And he rose him up. And that was part of his whole, and you can go in and look up the verses and all the other whatever. I'm not going to get into a whole whatever, but
Right.
yeah, it's very interesting, and everybody has their own path. My mother died twice before she died officially the third time, which was the last time. And she believes that she met Christ. She fought for her soul. And that was the first time she died. She was dead for about 6 minutes.
Wow.
So, yeah. I'm sorry for your loss, but you do a lot of work, and you have a show. You want to tell us the name of that show?
Yeah, we have, I do Blondes and Booze Paranormal Podcast, and it's myself, and along with Aaron Eck and Brandy Butcher. Yeah. And we just started out as three friends, just talking. We're into the paranormal, and we're new to the cryptid world and UFO world, and Erin's a psychic medium, so she's always, with the crystals and stuff. So we do a little bit of everything. Bit of everything. So we have different guests come on our show and talk about what they do. So anything weird, is what we do. And in my perspective, this is my own personal perspective, I feel like they're all intertwined in some way, so why not put the word out about all of them?
Yeah. And on your show, you predominantly, you talk about spirits, ghosts, or do you what do you talk about?
Honestly, we totally mix it up. I mean, we have, I try to get, guests that have had different types of encounters. Like this evening, we have Josh Hurd, the owner of Malvern Manor. He's on the show tonight, and then like next week, I have Jeremiah Fountain, we go from one extreme to the other, from ghosts to the Bigfoot thing. So yeah, just a little bit of everything. We're into it all. And our goal is just to educate not only ourselves, but others too.
Yeah, and Jeremiah is he's great. I like him. I'm going to have him on the show soon.
I do too.
He's a good dude,
I do
man.
too. Yeah, I'd like to get you on the show sometime.
Well, I mean, I've been really busy, but you know what? Let's make some time in January. I'll try to set something up. I got some other shows people are trying to get me to do. Somebody said something kind of nasty to me in one of the groups the other day, and of course it ruined my whole day, and I cried for hours about it because that's what I do whenever somebody says something kind of hurtful, And
you came to me so that I could cry with you emotionally.
And then you told Alec and my wife and Tony, you got Anthony and Scorpion and Dee, and we all cried
together.
We held hands and cried, and we prayed that it would never happen again. And God told us to quit being babies, and we stopped. Because that's what God's going to do. He's going to tell you to pull your big boy pants on and let's go. But now this person, go ahead.
I was going to say what I've slowly, actually quickly figured out is that, not everyone's going to like you and not everyone's going to like what you do. But our goal, with Blondes, we get along with everybody. And and if you don't like us, so be it. You're not going to hurt our feelings. It just, we just try to promote everybody because I feel like we're all in this for the same reason,
Yeah. And
most people are. I'm not going to say all of us.
What I was going to say is like anyone who really dislikes you or, doesn't want to hear what you have to say isn't really caring about the long run of or doesn't really care about the long message of trying to figure out what the paranormal is, because they care more about being right. And, that's matters to no one.
Exactly. And that's the same thing, like even with like some of the cryptid stories I've heard, and the paranormal stories I've heard, and even the UFO stories, it's my philosophy is I wasn't there to say whether that happened or not. So I am not going to say you're lying or, I'm open to all of it,
exactly.
from everything, you know. So it's not my place to say that you weren't there, because me personally, I have witnessed some crazy stuff in my life. And, you know, for me to sit here and tell you, you would be rolling your eyes thinking, oh my gosh, this woman's lying to me. But, you know, it's 100% the truth, you know, and in this, weird stuff does happen. So, you know.
Yep. One of the things I think you guys were on with BMR. What's his name? Bigfoot Michigan Rob.
Uh-huh.
Wasn't he on your show recently, or you were on his show?
Yes, he was.
Yeah, and I interviewed him, and I hung out with him at the conference in Jefferson. They came down when at the Texas Bigfoot conference or whatever, and we hung out. And Rob is a very genuine guy, and he's got a heck of a story. And you know, when you look at people like him, and you look at what happened to him. Not only is it like scary what could happen, but it's tragic, you know. And then you listen to him, but he, you know, when you meet him, he's just all smiles, and he's just outgoing. He's a magnanimous guy. Jason too. They're all very, very techs. They're good guys, and they're jolly, and they try to keep, you know, the you know. And if you know, I thought about it too. I was like, if that happened to me, I don't know what I would do. I mean, I would probably end up going off the deep end and just, you know, living under a bridge.
You know,
I don't know.
Right, exactly. You know, and he tells his story from the heart, 110%.
Sure does.
You know, so there is no way you cannot believe his story. You know, I mean, it's just you can feel his emotion when he tells it. You know, so it's amazing, and you know, and that he's overcome a lot. You know. For sure.
Whenever this person, they said something to me insulting about, you know, oh, this person likes to spout off about the Bible and blah, blah, blah. In one of the groups, they had said something about that, you know, and I told them, I was like, it's something that I'm passionate about learning, about reading. And this person had a very narrow, closed view of what they believed my religion should be. And I was like, dude, how are you going to sit up here and tell me what my religion should be? Keep your own house in order. You know, I mean, you know, glass houses, don't be throwing, you know, stones. And this person, like 3 or 4 people started attacking this person, not to defend me, but because I guess he made some good friends there. And so I just let it go. I was like, whatever, dude, I'm not going to sit here and entertain this. And this person's like, oh, well, your show's floundering and it's dying. And I'm like, what? I was like, the numbers don't lie, kid. I was like, I don't think so, man. I mean, I was like, you can say that, and that sounds good. But my wife, she was like, well, do you see how these people are? They don't even live in reality. I mean, they actually create, because in reality is relative to your own perception, but they create some sort of like pseudo reality in their mind. And I don't know if they participate in the belief of it, or they just want other people to believe in it. But I think some people, they lie and they tell it so much that they believe it. And I think a lot of what that is a lot of what religion is. And I'm not trying to bash on religion, but it's like an agreed upon lie. And
I 110% agree with you.
Yeah. And so you get these clerics and priests and preachers and monks and shaman and whatever else, and they will tell you whatever it is that their truth is. And they'll say it like this is the absolute truth. Well, I try to say, hey, this is what I believe. Now, I'm not telling you this is what you must believe, but this is what my research has led me up to. Now, if you start, okay, for example, Graham Hancock, he's on Netflix right now, and he's a hot button topic. And he's talking about ancient civilizations. And dude, the archaeologists are going nuts. They are like an angry hive of bees, and they're just like, Netflix, you need to put a retraction on there that this is not, you know, that it's fiction. This isn't real, you know. And he says we are a people with amnesia. I believe it was the first episode, wasn't it, Anthony?
Yeah, it was the first part of the first episode.
Yeah, he said we are a people with amnesia. Which, how long have I been saying that? 25, 30 years?
Long time, long as I've known you.
And I keep saying that the world is older. And then this one goofball, he got up there and he said, I'll probably get attacked by him later, but he's some big archaeologist. And he said something. He said, well, all you got to do is look at the trash levels and blah blah blah, and you see, And I said, first of all, most of that stuff's already going to be biodegraded, so all you're going to
Right.
get is the metal that is not. And he's talking 30,000 years ago. If you were to go 100,000 years, everything that's in this room will have dissolved and gone back to its natural elemental state. There's nothing that would be left. You wouldn't even recognize. There's nothing. There would be nothing at all.
I mean,
The
maybe
only
Twinkies.
fossils only occur, and I think that I talked about this with Ken. I believe we were talking about, or maybe it was Scott Martis, but we were talking about fossils, and it's like what 7%, 6%, some really low number of fossilization that actually occurs. And so this guy, he's sitting here saying, "Hey, civilization is way, way older than we think it is," and the only way that a lot of these religions can maintain a validity is by saying that the world is only 4,000 or 5,000 years old, which is completely nuts.
Right.
Because I believe that we've gone through hundreds of 4 million year cycles. And somebody was asking me, well, why do you believe that? And I said, well, if you listen to Michael Cremo, he talks about the yugas, and 4,320,000 years of cycles of the yugas. So if you go back into history and you look at the cycle that we're in right now, it's the Kali Yuga, which is the age of destruction or of nothingness,
Right.
or both. And then the age before us was the Dwapara Yuga. Now it coincides with the Bible and Genesis. And I believe Genesis actually picks up toward the tail end of the Dwapara Yuga. And I believe that that's where the flood was. I believe that that was where all this stuff took place. Like Methuselah, he lived to be 1,000 years. These people lived to be 1,000 years. But there was an age that was literally, we couldn't possibly even fathom. There was a time when things were done by the power of sure will, and then gradually mankind began to devolve. And I believe that that's where we're at right now, which is why there's so much evil everywhere. And when my mother was dying, I thought to myself, it's truly a blessing that she's going to be with the Lord and not having to be here
Yeah.
to see the de-evolution just as everything unravels,
Yeah.
and you're seeing it. And so when somebody comes out and tells somebody, hey, this is what's happening, it's a very uncomfortable truth that they don't want to be subjected to.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
I'm like you, I worry about my children and my grandchildren. What is their, when they're 50 years old, what is their life going to be like? What is this world going to be like? Absolutely.
Oh, boy. Yeah.
It's a scary thought. It's a very scary thought.
It's not going to be like we nothing we can recognize now. I can tell you that, because it's changing so rapidly and not for the better. And
Right.
I don't know if you agree with this or not, but somebody asked me this question in the group, and they said, well, they didn't ask me specifically, but I stuck my 2 cents in there. And they said, what do you think is the purpose of trying to live a righteous life if there is no heaven? I said, well, even if there wasn't a heaven, you would better want to get out of here, because if you have to come back and it's just pure reincarnation, you will be returning to a time that is fast approaching, where the destruction is speeding up.
Right.
I don't know if you've
Returning
noticed
to a
this.
time of hell.
Yeah, this is becoming hell on earth. Yeah, and I don't know if you've noticed this, but time is speeding up. If you've noticed, it feels like this month went by in a blur.
Yeah.
Like a whirl.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Every day, even the week, it was just Monday, and now, we're on Friday, and yeah, I would agree. It's all kind of weird stuff going on in this world. And like I said, it scares me for my children and my grandchildren.
Mm-hmm. On your show, just for my audience, because I like to bring people on and introduce them to other people's shows. That's something I've kind of done. And somebody told me the other day that I introduce them to so many different shows and whatever, that they don't always have time to watch mine. And I said, well, that's unfortunate. I won't be bringing anyone interesting on anymore. So that's when I called you. I'm just kidding, Chris. I'm joking. I was like, well, I'm going to bring somebody really, really, no, I'm just kidding. No, no, but I do try to introduce my audience, because I want them to expand their mind. I want them to be able to gather and soak up as much information and be a part of the community and be in touch with the community as possible. That's why I bring people like you on, and Nick Valenti and all the other people that I've had on the show, Ken Gerhardt and everybody. Barton Nunley, good friend of mine, he comes on,
Mm-hmm.
Dark Waters. I want them to be, to totally be, to interact with as much of the community as possible. But let me ask you for your own personal, what inspired you to start a podcast and to begin doing what you're doing? How did that start? Like, what happened?
Well, it literally, it was during the COVID lockdown, the beginning of it. And Aaron and I, we talked on the phone every night. The world was locked down, so you couldn't go anywhere. So we would sit and, we used to meet out for drinks and talk. And so we would just sit on the phone and have a glass of wine and we would talk silly stuff, with the ghosts, the cryptids, the UFO stuff, metaphysics. And she's like, you know what? We should just start a podcast. We should just start doing this. I'm like, okay, whatever. Who's going to listen to us, But here we are. It just started out doing just audio, and then we started, getting into the YouTube, and we've had a lot of people help us and really promote us. Bettina Moss being one. I mean, she's been great to us. And then D.A. Roberts has been great to us. Tex and his whole crew, they've been fantastic. Daryl Denton, Barton and Letitia, so it's been great. We never thought, that we would actually have people who would want to listen to us.
all good people. Everyone you named right there, I'm close personal friends with.
Barton's in the chat right now. He says
Barton's in the
he's
chat
pretty
right
excited
now,
about his
and-
interview that he's going to come up on the 24th. I think.
Oh
he
yeah,
said.
is he gonna be interviewing Barton?
I am in January.
Yeah.
Yep. He's going to
Barton's a
come on
good
the show.
interview, let me tell you, I talked to Barton earlier today. Actually, we talk like every day. Me and Barton are pals, but it's funny because, like, when I first heard the term, I saw blondes and booze, and I thought, what is this?
It's an interesting name.
And I was like, what is this? And then I started checking it out. I was like, oh, it's pretty cool. It's actually pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you guys came up pretty quick. Yeah.
Well, we chose the name intentionally.
Mm-hmm.
Our thought was it was kind of a marketing ploy, and it's booze, and a lot of people think, and Daryl Denton, he tells me all the time. He said, I thought it was the BOOBS, and I wasn't going to join your group, and I didn't want none of that, and until he listened to us and seen, that it's not what he thinks, but it was 100% a marketing ploy. People get on there and see, we're 100%, PG rated and no nudity, sure. and we just talk fun stuff, yeah. And it's worked for us, so for sure.
Yeah, I talked to Daryl the other day. His group, he's Bigfoot and what's it called? Bigfoot. I'm a
Bigfoot believers and other creatures.
Bigfoot believers and other. Oh my gosh, it grew so fast. I mean, it just absolutely outpaced my group. For some reason, is stuck at 8.3. And I think Facebook is doing something, but I'm a very suspicious person. I don't trust them.
Right.
They've slowed me down again. And then I was rolling on YouTube, and then all of a sudden it just kind of stopped. And then we started losing subscribers. Like, I mean, why would it just be flying and then just stop somewhere and then you start losing?
Right.
It doesn't make any sense. But I've never been anyone's favorite person, so that's fine. I don't, it doesn't matter.
I'm a huge believer in the powers that be, and I think they dabble in people's lives that get too close to things that they don't want them to know.
Yeah, because if you're flying too close to the sun, because somebody mentioned that the other day, they said that they believe in God, the God of this world. When they mentioned this and so somebody started arguing with them, and they said, now this is what was funny. It was in a group called oh God, I can't remember which group it was. It was a spiritual. It was a spiritual group. It's a huge group. They got like 200,000 people in there. But I was scrolling through Facebook, and somebody mentioned something about serving the God of this world, and then somebody didn't really. I guess they weren't paying attention, and they started arguing with this person. They go, "Well, you know that God is love and light, and this is this and that, And this person said, "Yeah, my God is the light bearer." And I was like, and then I finally got on there after these 2 or 3 people were saying, well, that's not a very godly thing to do. That's not a very godly thing to say. And I said, you're not paying attention to what this man just said. He said he serves the God of this world. And I said, this is the same God that the Hollywood elite get up and go, I want to thank God for this, and I knew this girl who was like, I was watching this years ago, this award ceremony, and she's like, oh, she's such a good person. She's thanking God. And I'm like, no, she's thanking a God. She's thanking
Right.
her God. But like Jesus said to the Pharisees, your God is not my God. Your God is Shaitan. And,
Yeah, notice they never say Christ, and
Yeah.
they never say that they want to thank Jesus.
they don't even say
Christ.
Allah or any
Even-
other name. They just
well,
say, God, because
when
that
they
can be
do,
anything.
like when Chris Pratt
Right.
does, he gets attacked for it because he came up there and said, my God is Christ. And
Yeah,
and
and
they
well,
attacked
Tyson
him for
Fury, he's been messed with, because he always says, I want to thank my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, which is, what's wrong with that? That's what you believe. That's what you believe. But
Right.
this guy said that, and he laughed, ha, 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 laughing. And he was laughing at all these people, and I'm going like, what y'all are trying to, it's apples and oranges here. And when I said that, he goes, oh, you're clever. You figured it out. Like it's some kind of riddle, and I'm like, no.
the light bearer would
Satan is the
the
God
morning
of this
star.
world,
I mean, come on.
And
no,
Yeah.
Lucifer isn't the morning
Lucifer,
star. Lucifer is son of the morning, and
yeah,
Jesus
he's also
Christ,
the light bearer.
and Jesus Christ is the morning star. But and this is very important, if you read modern translations of the Bible, like the NIV and the NSV and the ESV and any other modern translations, stay away from them because they mix things up. In the modern translations, they have Lucifer being the morning star and Jesus Christ being son of the morning, but that's not what it translates to. They mixed it up. They flipped it.
Right.
So stay away from the modern translations. Stick to the Douay Rheims, or if you want to, the King James Version. But remember, there's 7 books missing from the King James Version. So if you want to
the
read
King
those
James
7
Version
books,
is
you can stick with the
absolutely-
Douay Rheims translation.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
the Schofield version should
Oh,
be
man.
completely
Yeah.
just, in my opinion, I don't even, somebody was trying to throw that at me the other day, and I was like, you're reading from the Schofield. I don't subscribe to that. That's fine. And if you go into the translations and get pretty heavy, it gets pretty, and I'm very Gnostic too in the way that I believe that the kingdom of God is not found out here in this earthly matrix that we live in. It's found within, because we are the life and breath and spark of God, and He planted that in you you go inward to find that.
Right.
People do it backwards. They go out into the world to search for God, and they find the God of this world over and over again. And when they go inward, they find it. But a lot of people go out and they find religion and they find that, whatever fits, whatever. And then they turn inward and they try to push themselves to fit into that religion. When you should find God within you and then seek Him out in different places in the world, because there are many, many places that are inhabited by evil. 3/4 of everything we receive is evil. 3/4 of everything that we will deal with is wrong. It is bad, and you will deal with that everywhere you go. There are the places of power are all inhabited by the powers of darkness. And it's such a flip for them to say, oh, they serve the light bearer, because this guy's not giving you light. He's not enlightening you.
Right.
And,
right.
It's very simple. When somebody asked the question too on this one show I was watching the other day, and I actually like this guy that does the show, but I don't agree with everything he was saying. They were saying, well, what's the problem with the fallen having given the makeup and all the other things that they gave, weapons and knowledge to humans? They were like, what was wrong with that? What do you think was wrong with that, Anthony? You said it the other day.
I'm sorry, I was moderating on the
Okay.
chat. I didn't mean
What
to
I
do-
said was when the fallen gave and there were 200 fallen watchers, when they gave this knowledge to humankind,
Oh,
what's
why was that
inherently wrong with that?
So, the morality, ethics, these 2 things, and like technology or technological breakthroughs have to advance hand in hand. So, for instance, if like there's a certain point in time where a certain species or people is just not ready, that they're not developed enough, their moral compass or spirituality is not developed enough to be able to use any kind of like technological breakthrough without using it as a source of like violence or weaponizing it or using
Power.
it for greed, power.
You wouldn't give a toddler a handgun.
Exactly.
Right. Exactly.
We're just not equipped to comprehend certain things, nor is it our place to say that we deserve to be on a certain level, intellectually or spiritually. We are where God says we need to be, and that is that. It's not up for debate.
And so when they did this, and then they bred, I personally don't believe that they actually. I think it's a little different than just fornication. I think what they did was they created hybrid creatures, like lab wise. I believe that's what they did. They used science, and I believe that they how do you say it? What are the words I'm looking for? They were
genetically engineered,
and yeah, genetically engineered these creatures, which I believe is where Dogman and Bigfoot and a lot of this stuff comes from. And I saw on your show the other day where you said it's Blonde's booze and the woo.
Yes.
I thought that was pretty interesting because people say that I'm dabbling in the woo. I'm like, no, I'm not dabbling in the woo. I'm full on into the woo because that's where the woo is at.
Yes.
You know,
our Friday evening shows are Blondes, the Booze, and the Woo. That's we've hooked up with Texas Front Porch and all them guys, so we stream through them, and so we're the Woo, and then on just Thursday nights it's just Blondes and Booze.
Yeah, and when you sit there and you go over all this, that some of the mainstream, which I don't even know how they're the mainstream, because most people are more accepting of something of a spiritual nature than a giant ape running around out in the woods. But
right.
They're like, oh, well, you're talking about all that hoopamajoo with a bunch of, Nephilim and all this other stuff. And I'm like, dude, it's not even like, to me, it's real. I mean, that is what is real. That is what is, because you absolutely get hauntings that go along with Dogman and Bigfoot and everything else. It's all relative. And to sit there and say, well, let's just toss all that out and let's just follow the ones that are physical. You're picking a very small, and I had a colleague of mine, actually a few colleagues of mine, and they said, well, the reason that you get all these woo stories from the Bigfoot world is because of the name of your show. And I said, well, maybe you should start doing paranormal because you're going to get a lot more Bigfoot stories. If you confine yourself to this, I'm just going to get these kind here that I believe can fit into the ape theory, then you're only going to get a very limited number of things. And that's fine if that's what you want to do. And I don't knock them for that. That's what works for them, because there's that going on. But there's a very large number of stuff that we're missing out on. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I 100% believe in the woo, and going back where you were talking about with the hauntings and the cryptids, the dogmen type thing, I've interviewed people who, have had dogmen encounters that, and there was the cemetery. Why are they at the cemetery? There's something paranormal to the woo side of it there, in my belief, Yeah.
What is now you go out, do you guys go out and actually study cases, or do you get stories and retell them? Tell the audience about what y'all do.
So we actually we are paranormal investigators. Aaron is a psychic medium. Brandy goes all over the United States and hits a lot of the big haunted locations. And myself, I study demonology under Jeremy Leonard. And so I myself am more into the more negative type hauntings, to help people overcome that, where we all, bring something to the table and then we'll get together. And if there's a case that, that we're all comfortable doing, then we'll go and investigate. Now, if it's a negative or even a possible slightly demonic type case, I have a whole other crew that I do that with. Aaron and Brandy don't do that with me. So, yeah.
Somebody in the audience asked a very, I guess, pretty pertinent question here. David, and I'll pose this to you, Chris, or anybody at the round table here. It says, do Bigfoot and Dogmen have a soul? That's a great question. About that?
I mean, I personally believe like all things were created. So, it could go back into the woo thing, are they, alien type beings? I believe that they do have souls. They die, so I personally believe yes, would be my answer.
And what do you think, Tony, Anthony, what do y'all think?
I think I've spoken about this before, but if we have, if you see animals who die and you see their ghosts, and
Which
you
we
see,
have.
we have, and you see human spirits, then it makes absolutely no sense, especially if you believe in them being purely physical for them to not have a soul. Then it just brings in a whole other thing. Right? Okay, well, if you believe they have a soul and you believe that they can possibly have ghosts of these things, then what are these spirits of these things, and how do they interact with our world? Then if you even just ignore that and you say, well, I believe that they're demonic beings and I believe that they're dimensional and they have they live in a spirit world, then inherently I think that they have to have a soul to be able to interact with our world, because I think you can't just come in as an empty vessel and interact and do physical things here, because I think you have to have something powering these meat suits that we are basically.
Yeah, I think all living things are spiritual manifestations. All living things are physical manifestations of spiritual energy. So, I don't think there's any living thing that just doesn't have a soul. Now, sometimes you'll see people who seem like they're just animated,
Non-playable
meat puppets. Like
Yeah,
you look
NPCs.
you look
There's
in their
nothing
eyes
there.
and the lights are on, but no one's home. I don't know that they don't have a soul. I just think that you can get to a point spiritually where your connection to the divine is just severed.
Yeah.
It's just gone through your actions,
come
your
back for
beliefs,
that
your
reason.
words, the way you treat people, your behavior, and it's like it's like this silver cord that it connects your physical body to the spiritual realm, but it can be severed through, I don't know, some kind of negative life.
Yeah, but I even think in those senses, I think that they still have a soul. It's just empty. It's it has no purpose. It has nothing to steer it.
Right.
Well, I'll take it a step further. Oh, go ahead, Krista.
Oh, I was just going to say, I believe anything that is living and can be killed has a soul.
Here's what I think about Bigfoot and Dogman. What I think about Bigfoot and Dogman is very simple. They are souls. They are.
Yeah.
They are souls, and they can manifest in our reality. I think that they can move in and out of this density with ease. I think that they're from the fourth density. I've always said that. Well, not always. I'm wrong about that. I didn't always believe that, but I've always said that on this show. But years ago, I thought that maybe they were just sort of flesh and blood, some weird anomaly. People ask me to explain it, and you can't. There's just no way to explain it other than, well, yeah, there's a spiritual essence there. I believe they are souls. That's what they are, and they do what they do. And I was pleased to find other people in this community who are like me, who are starting to come around to that. And I think that we're beginning to start a movement, Kristen. I think you and I and our colleagues, we're at the forefront of this, and it is sort of a battleground, but it's not, it's not like Graham Hancock. He's fighting with the archaeologists, and they're just going back and forth. They're bitter or whatever. Our truly bitter enemies are few and far between, and I think that we are actually gelling, and we're coming together like a good football team or a baseball team, and we're peaking at the right time. And I think that us together are going to push out the negative, and eventually what's going to be left, separate the wheat from the chaff. And somebody asked me one day, and I get people saying all kinds of stuff, and they're like, why are you always go out there fighting, arguing with people, blah, blah, blah. And I said, because somebody has to do it. I never asked to be the leader of anything. I picked up the mantle of that leadership, picked up the sword and the shield because somebody had to do it. It's not like I'm thirsting for power. I want to be the boss. No, that's not what was going on. All I wanted to do was change the way things were being done because it wasn't correct, and 1,000 people were telling me, hey, this is what needs to happen, but nobody was doing it. So if you sit back and you let the other side hold sway, then they're going to eat your lunch, and the narrative is going to be slanted, and we're going to be fed lies, and it's going to be no good. You're not going to reach the people that you need to reach.
And not to mention that some of the other side's views are actually, I think, dangerous.
I
think that when you tell people that these are physical creatures that are cuddly little teddy bears,
they won't hurt you,
then you're going to inherently hurt people and maybe even put their lives in danger when they see one of these things and they think, oh, how sweet. Or when you have people going out to look for them and they're not seeing physical tracks of this stuff, and instead they're seeing, these spiritual creatures doing spiritual stuff, and you're trying to figure it out, and it affects you somehow, because I think there's other things that connect to that.
And what do you think, Crystal? Like doing what you do and helping people who have spiritual attachments and things like that. When you come across these hauntings, do they have cryptid activity too?
Actually, there are a couple cases that actually do, more along the Bigfoot side of it, not necessarily Dogman, but absolutely they do. And that's pretty common. There was a house that I investigated over, it was in North Missouri, and it was, they were talking about Bigfoot. And back then, I hadn't had my Bigfoot encounter yet. And so I've always believed. So I did believe these people, but I didn't know what I was looking for. We were there just strictly for the ghost part of it. But had I been where I am now, I would have been outside more investigating as well, because I do believe, like I said, they're 100% intertwined. Paranormal, cryptids, UFOs, all of it. They're all in some sort of realm together.
Yeah. And so that's going to lead me into my next question. Can you tell us about your Bigfoot encounter?
Yes. I actually didn't see one. So what happened was it was in 2000. Oh, let me think about this. It was 2021. I was at Big River Ranch in Lexington, Missouri, and I had a camper there. And it was 2:00 in the morning. I couldn't sleep. I took my dog outside. And we were sitting there, and my dog is a 200-pound English Mastiff.
Oh,
and
the dog never English growls. Mastiff.
Great dogs.
Yeah.
And I'd never heard the dog growl before, ever. And he started growling, and he was looking off into the woods. Well, he came and sat by me, and my friend Kathy was sleeping inside. And I went in and I told her, I said, hey, come outside for a minute. There's just something kind of weird, and she and I had both done ghost stuff and done the demonic cases. And this was different. It just didn't feel right. So she come outside and she's like, oh yeah, it's really weird out here. It just doesn't feel right. And she went in the camper. I put the dog inside the camper, and I backed myself into the camper and locked it. We were laughing about it. We're like, oh, it's probably a raccoon or a possum, out there watching us. So never said any more about it. I never posted on Facebook, not a word. Fast forward 6 months later, a friend of ours, we do an event every year called Fall into the Supernatural. And a friend of ours, she's a psychic medium, and she does a lot of the police cases. And she came up to Kathy and I, and she said, tell me what happened over there in that woods area. And she said, I see a camper, but it's a different camper than what's there now. So she kind of sparked our interest, and she said, and I see your dog. Your dog something's not right with your dog. And so I was like, tell me more. I didn't want to give her too much information. I wanted to see what she had to tell us. And she looked at us and she said, you're not crazy. She said, you had Bigfoot watching you. And for me to, we never told anybody about that. And she came to us. We didn't ask her about it, so I 110% believe that was my first Bigfoot encounter. Then fast forward to September of this year, we did another Fall into the Supernatural, and D.A. Roberts was out there, and he did the cryptid part of the presentation. It was a Friday night. We were sitting around the campfire at the same location, and I was sitting next to his wife, and we had something thrown at us. And there was probably 30 people there that witnessed it. So I feel like that was my second Bigfoot encounter. Although I never seen it with my eyes, I know without a doubt too many people seen that come at us. And I feel like I want to actually see one day, just without not just feeling them or, witnessing something like that. So Yeah, and I 110% believe that I did have a Sasquatch encounter, even though I didn't see it with my eyes.
And DA lives in Missouri too, right? He's in.
Yes.
Yeah, DA's a good guy, a good friend of mine. Went to my conference. When we do
Yeah.
the conference this year, we've decided to switch it up, folks. We're going to try and do it in Fort Worth. But you think
Oh,
you
wow.
guys would make it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. If you guys, I actually had talked to DA about that because I wanted to come to your last one.
Mhm.
Bettina, she's like, can you come with me? And honest to God, 110% I would have, but my daughter got married in Colorado. That is the only reason I missed it. So absolutely, I would love to come this year.
That's your reason you didn't go to because your daughter got married?
You need
Wow.
to examine
That
your
was the
priorities.
reason.
You need to
Yeah,
look at your
I know, right?
priorities.
I feel
mean,
hurt.
I don't
Right?
know. If I had a kid and they were getting married and it was like, there's a conference for the Paranormal Roundtable, I'd have been like, well, there's always next time when you get married again,
I think your daughter
Right.
would understand and even agree.
Yeah, exactly.
She probably would have disowned her mother.
Small price to pay. I'm kidding. I'm joking. No, you know what it is? I'm going to tell you right now. We pulled it off. We did this conference, and this next time around, I'm going to try and add some new faces and different people. Not going to cut anybody out. Whoever wants to go can go. But I'm just going to make it bigger. We're going to do it
Yeah.
bigger and better, and we're going to have a bigger venue. We sold out this last venue. We're going to sell out the next one.
I heard. I heard several people tell me it was the best conference they'd ever been to.
Yeah, I mean, Lyle and Ken and Barton and Nick and everybody, and David, they all said that to me, and I thought, you're just putting me on. And then I was talking to David Weatherly the other day. He was a good friend of mine, and we were talking. And when we always say, I'm going to just talk to you for a minute, we end up talking for an hour, but he said, no, it was the best conference.
Yeah.
Like him and Lyle both and Ken had all said, it was great. I mean, it was we had a good time.
Mhm.
Ron Murphy, man, I like that guy. Him and DA are just salt of the earth, good people.
Yeah.
Kenny Irish, Tony Merkel, Josh Nanokio, Barton, of course, that's my homeboy right there, Barton.
Right.
And then
He's great.
He's awesome. Me and him talk like every day. And then we had Bettina there and just everybody that went, everybody that was there. Nick Redfern, Nick Valenti, Jody, everybody. We had a great time. And
Are you planning on? I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you. I was just going to ask if you plan on like selling vendor spots and stuff like that, because honestly, Count Blondes and Booze in, we'd absolutely love to have a vendor table or something.
Yeah,
absolutely, we will.
You
Yeah.
come up there and say what you got to say, and we had a lot of people that spoke. Not to leave anybody, Elijah Henderson.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Who else? We had so many people. Everybody got to do their own presentation, and if you're I'm not really inviting vendors that are just going to be vendors, because I'm going to have so many people there that are going to be part
Mhm.
of the PRT, whatever, that I'm going to have. You guys are going to sell your merchandise, and I'm going to invite Tex and Jason and
Yeah.
Bigfoot Michigan Rob. All you guys are going to be invited, and hopefully Steve Stockton can make it this time. I just talked to Steve a couple days ago, good guy. And hopefully he can.
I
make
have
it.
him next week on our show too.
Oh yeah, Steve
Yeah.
is good. Now you're gonna have to ask him about his encounter with what he thinks was a water spirit.
Okay.
You got to
I will.
ask him about that. I'm not going to
I
say
will.
anything else. He's been on my show, but folks, go check it out, because that guy, he is a wealth of knowledge. Him and Josh Anokio, I wish I could be as big as those guys. But
Yeah.
the funny thing is, they actually watch my show. But I was talking to Bettina the other day, and she had said something to me that, a while back, and she said your show is kind of a hub for, I forget how she worded it, but like she's saying that people from the community come and watch my show.
Mhm.
And it's kind of a
Yeah.
meeting point, that's good. That's admirable. I'm glad that our show can do that,
Yeah.
and I just, it makes me feel
I've
good to know that.
I've actually watched your show for several years, and I do share your shows on Blonde's channel and all that good stuff too. So yep, I've
Yeah.
done that for the whole time, even before I even talked to you.
I've noticed you guys coming up and starting to make moves, and Jessica, Cryptid Huntress.
Yep, she's great.
Yeah, her too. She's another one and making, waves. But Tina was telling me the other day that she's got a lot of stuff going on. But I told her, I said, don't stop. Don't stop.
I told her the
because
same
we're
thing.
all in
Yep.
the same boat together, and we're all rowing together. And
Yep.
if we will get to the other side, to the promised land, if we all just keep working. And people say ignore the haters. Well, you know what? I'm going to stop and shoot arrows at them because that's just what I do because I like sniping.
Yeah.
But that's just me. I'm not bad. I'm just very petty. That's all. I just like to let things go, but I can't because I'm just like sometimes I just think stupidity should be painful, and so sometimes I get a little carried away. But I tell everybody else,
Yeah.
just keep trudging along and doing what you're doing, and we'll get to the other side. Unfortunately, we lost one of our colleagues, one of my mentors, Linda Godfrey.
Yeah, that
was
was awful.
Major, and then I had talked to Chad Lewis, Chad, good friend of mine, and he was going into the service, and I was just like, God, this is hard.
Yeah.
And
Well, Linda Godfrey, she's the queen of cryptid in my book.
Yeah.
I mean, she's, you don't think of cryptid and not think of her. It was very, very sad thing to hear.
And then the people that put together a conference in Wisconsin and didn't invite her to that conference
that's
as a
awful.
snub. And, before she passed, she told me and Barton how she felt about that, and it hurt her. And that person,
Yeah.
that particular person, I'm not going to say their name, you can figure it out, but they did that to hurt her. And then they go on
Wow.
this other liar's show, and he says what he says and makes up whatever, has whatever, coaching people, whatever. I don't like these people, and I'm not going to make any bones about it, but I'm not going to give them any more energy. It's just, it is what it is. They do what they do. Eventually, they're just going to be on their own little island, on their own little planet, whatever, and they can believe what they want to believe, and the rest of us will go where we need to go to transcend all this ridiculousness down here, because people are
Absolutely.
being led astray.
Yeah. Yep.
Told by these people who make it on TV somehow, and they're
Right.
told, well, if you give them donuts and you pat them on the head, they'll be your friend, push you and swing. And it's like,
Right.
that's not the reality. The
Yeah,
reality is that
I
we're
get-
facing demonic entities.
Yep. I got to tell you, and this is honest to God's truth. We were contacted here a couple weeks ago. Blondes was about doing a TV show, and the three of us talked about it, and that's not what we want to do. We want to help people. We want to put out good. We want to educate people, and we don't feel we can do that through the TV. Just keep doing what we're doing, and that's what we're going to do. We're just keep doing what we're doing.
And that's what's going to pay off.
That is.
that integrity.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Then they're going to
Yeah.
make you change something that you're not going to want.
And you're not going to like it.
Yeah.
But keep faith, folks, because I have a friend. He's originally from Hollywood, but he lives here, and I'm hoping that he can get some things done. He's been doing a lot of politicking to try to create the studios to get them to come here, and so
Wow.
that we can change some of the narrative about the way things are done in the film industry, and so because the big fear here is that they're going to bring Hollywood here. And he's trying to say,
Wow.
no, we're trying to bring something here that's different. It's actually something that will rival that, and then something that we can use as a springboard for big projects, and you don't have to go through the hassle and stress of going through the establishment, which is the established studios and blah, blah, blah. I've
Right.
been asked to be on I guess, how many, 3 TV shows?
Yeah.
3, and I turned them down. Well, I'm not going to
Yeah.
say one of them. I just said, "Hey, give me a plane ticket for myself and my wife, and give me this and that." And they were just like, "Nah, we're not going to do that." And I figured they wouldn't. So I was like, "Well, if they did, hey, great. But if they're not going to go along with what I want, then I'm not going to do it." And
Right.
so I didn't. But I just thought, my friend who's trying to do this, and I don't want to say anything until it's time, but I really think that certain players are going to come together. And my long-term overarching goal is to create a type of multimedia that we can use that will not be beholden to these, for lack of a better term, darkness, dark people who want to do dark things. And that's what they're doing is brainwashing. And they're trying to have people conform to the establishment, which is basically the worship of evil and glorification of what's evil. We're trying to spread awareness and trying to bring the truth to light, and that's what this is. And these people, they're going to do what they do. But if we were to able to do it and bring it here, then we could have more say about what goes into it, and we could create, and the creation is what's going to lead us to where we need to be. And I've been working with a lot of different people, and eventually I hope to have my own setup. Now I'm talking a few years down the road, but if things keep going the way they are, we keep networking, we become stronger and stronger. All you need is strong leadership, And if you can, I've always said this, I don't have to be the alpha. I can be, the number 2, number 3, it doesn't matter. As long as those leaders are doing and leading us correctly, then I don't need to step in and change anything.
Right.
The only reason I ever took on leadership was because these people aren't doing it correctly. So then you have to take responsibility. And then someone comes along and says, I like the way you work. I'm going to make you a boss. And then they do. And then you have more responsibility. And my mother said that was what's always been her role. And my dad said the same thing. They were always leaders in whatever field they were in. My dad being an engineer, my mother being an accountant, and then being a business manager. But, they were workaholics who they always strove to be number one at what they did. And you start to look at the future and where we're headed, and I think that the future is going to be people like us. And these mainstream people who have succumbed to the dark, which I think they've succumbed to the darkness, they're gonna fall by the wayside, because I believe that the truth and what's coming out is going to be more important. In the end, people are catching on. They're not buying in this nonsense anymore. Some guy walking into a haunted building, come on, demon, you want to fight? Come on, fight me, bruh. Nobody cares about that anymore. Or finding, whatever, and never finding anything. How many seasons can you walk around and yell in the woods and hit trees with sticks?
Exactly.
I mean, and it just gets monotonous, and I can't even watch these shows. When I try to watch these shows, I fall asleep.
Right.
And my wife made a joke. You do? Yeah. My wife said the other day, she's like, "Oh, you're tired. Let me put on one of this BS shows, and you'll fall right to sleep." But if she puts on something on YouTube, there's a lot of good stuff on there. I'll be like, "Oh, I'll step and I'll watch it." So she puts on something on the mainstream television network, I'll just go straight to sleep. Because it's all nonsense. But, I was checking out your show the other day, and I thought, this is pretty good. I actually like what you guys are doing. And I like that. And this isn't no virtue signaling, and I don't kiss ass on this show, but I'm going to tell you, I like that it's women that are doing this, because we do need more women in this. And I told Bettina that we need more women to be taking up the mantle and joining us, your brothers, in this, which is essentially a fight.
Thank you. We appreciate that for sure.
Yeah. And I'm glad that you guys are doing what you do. Now, doing what you do and doing the show with your I guess you could call them your sisters, y'all are doing what you do. Whose idea was it originally to do all this, or was it just all together, like one collective idea, agreement, or what?
Well, it started out, it was just Erin and myself, and it was her idea, to, like I said, we were, sitting talking during COVID, and like we did every night with our glass of wine, and she's like, let's do a podcast. And we came up with everything. And then, I guess it was September. I've known Brandy for a long time. I've ghost hunted with her a lot, and she's just a great gal. And Erin and I talked about adding Brandy with us, just because she fits in so well with us, And so there became 2, became 3.
The final piece.
So that's yeah.
I was going to say though that Bigfoot Michigan Rob's in the chat, and he said hi to you, and he just want to say hi real quick.
Oh yeah.
Yes, I love BMR.
Yeah,
he's awesome.
Yeah. And it's cool, it's like you said 3, when you were saying 3, the number 333 was at the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
And Tesla said to know the universe and to understand the nature of reality, he said you must know 3, 6, and 9, which is really weird because it's weird because if you get into the esotericism and numerology, whatever, which some people, because it has the word ology, in the word they think it's like something of the devil, but it's just a study of numbers because everything breaks down to numbers and codes. I don't know. I mean,
it does.
Look at Heisenberg.
It does.
He's always talking about the numbers, and Oppenheimer. But if you take those numbers 666, it breaks down to 9.
Right.
So when it says it's a human number, it could be a person with a 9 life path, because 9 is considered one of the master numbers, depending upon what type of numerology you study. Now, if you go into 11, but you have to achieve 11 through 9 and 2. It can't be something that breaks down like 1 and 1 and it becomes that's right, 1 and 1. It breaks down. You can't do 9 and 2. That's actually that's then it breaks down to but it's really weird. Some people will look at these numbers and they'll find all kinds of patterns and stuff, but they don't realize that there's a code to everything, which is why I kind of believe that we're living in a matrix. Now, I'm going to tell you a quick story, and I want your opinion on this, Krista, because I don't know how you feel about this. But I told you, Anthony and Tony, and I don't know, Alec, if you were when we talked about this, but I know I was with Nellie, and we were driving, and I think we just gone to dinner or something. And I was telling you about the story of the kids. They went to it was Dodge City, by the way. They went on vacation to Dodge City. Now, Dodge City is famous. They had all these, sheriffs. Wyatt Earp was there at one time. Bat Masterson. It was a very famous place. And they were roaming around in this little area, kind of a touristy little area, whatever. And they were throwing rocks, and his little brother yelled. And so he goes over there to his little brother, and his little brother's kind of bratty, and tells him, "I threw a rock up in the air, and it hit the ceiling, and it disappeared." And he's like, "The ceiling, we're outside." When his little brother's 5 or 6, he's trying to explain to him that the sky had a ceiling. And he's like,
wow,
the sky doesn't have a ceiling. And he tells his brother, he says, "Throw a rock up into the sky." So he threw a rock and it disappeared.
Wow.
Which was completely weird. And then they ran and they told their mom and dad. And the mom was like, "Okay, enough of this, stop with your antics." And the dad was kind of humoring them. They're on vacation, they're in Dodge City, and it's, I grew up a Gunsmoke fan, so I thought it was kind of cool because I had mentioned it on the show a long time ago. And this person said, "I had a weird experience in Dodge City." Well, Dodge City, Matt Dillon, it's based on a fictional character or whatever, but there is a lot of history there. Well,
right.
They went to this spot, and the dad threw a rock up, and he saw the sky about 12 feet up, kind of lit up, and the rock disappeared.
Wow.
And I got this story before from a guy who used to work for me. He was a full-blooded Chippewa Indian, Native American, and his buddy was half. His buddy said that they had gone to Yellowstone National Park, and they were throwing these rocks across the geysers, and that they were disappearing on the other side. But his brother had said that he threw a rock, and it didn't. He remembers it differently. It didn't disappear. It kind of shattered, against some sort of wall, like an invisible wall. But it became blurry. And the same thing that people in Dodge City said when they threw the rocks up, that it hit some sort of ceiling or something, and it was like hitting a wall, and it just kind of disappeared.
What do you mean by shine, though? Did it was a bright light, or was it
just
kind of
when it
blurry
up,
all of a sudden?
A quick boosh, like it lit up for a second, like a yellowish color. They said. Let me just tell you that.
Yeah.
But that was just the kid saying his dad said that. That's not what he saw. Mm-hmm. What he saw was just blur, like a blur. And then their older sister came. She did the same thing, and the rock disappeared. I mean, how do you explain that? But then you get the story from my friend who said that his he got me in touch with this guy who said, it's not a long, drawn-out paranormal story, but he goes, "Me and my brother were throwing rocks across one of the geysers, and they were disappearing on the other side." What do you think that is, Krista?
In my opinion, I think the other side is closer to us than we think. And I honestly believe it was getting thrown into the other dimension where here I go with my woo stuff. But as far as like where we're per se ghost or spirits or even, some cryptids on that realm is what I believe.
Mm-hmm. It's so funny. Crystal says here, well, imagine being on the other side and getting hit in the head with a rock.
Well, I was waiting for somebody to say that because there was a story that I had gotten out of Melbourne, Australia, where a man was. I just read this, and I think it was like in Fate magazine or something, but I could be wrong. Where a guy was just walking down the street and he was hit in the head and killed by a rock. It was either in Melbourne or Sydney, or maybe it was Darwin. It was somewhere in Australia, but I think it was Melbourne, and he was walking, and a rock came out of nowhere and hit him.
Wow.
So who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe it traveled through time and space. I believe that was in like 1946 or something. But you throw a rock,
Yeah.
and it goes to the other side and hits somebody. That's
Right.
yeah.
I think one other possible explanation is that I just thought of this right now. I don't know why I didn't think about it the first time I heard it, but is that it could be like a cloaking device for an aircraft, whether extraterrestrial
Yeah.
or otherwise.
Mm-hmm. And it just
Speaking of which, I actually watched a show last night on, I don't even remember what it was. It was some kind of documentary where a guy was elk hunting and took a shot at an elk and the bullet bounced off. And next thing he's being taken up into a spacecraft, and it showed the bullet. They said the bullet hit something, but he described it as a clear cube that he didn't see until he shot and the bullet ricocheted off. So that's interesting to me too.
What about the story we just got? That's funny you said that about the elk. Remember the guy that said they were. It's not funny. I don't want to laugh. It's horrible.
It's shocking, really.
It's shocking. It's shocking. We got a story, Chris. That's just what was that, like last Wednesday or something?
Yeah, I think.
Okay, this guy was up in British Columbia, and they had a big picture window. This isn't paranormal, but this is messed up. And they had this huge elk that just came up into their yard, and they just sat there staring at him. So they were like, "Oh, it's cool, let's take some pictures and blah blah blah." And then they go back to the dinner table and they just sit there looking at this, basking in the glory of this beautiful, majestic creature that decides that it's going to join them for dinner, and it jumps through their picture window and starts rampaging through their house.
Oh my gosh.
It's like horrible. And so then they ended up having to like call the police and tell them, hey, we had to leave our house because, an elk came through the picture window and decided to go crazy. But I had a story like that. A guy sent me a story out of Alaska, and he said, I went to a cabin that I used to go hunting at every year. And he says, I get up there and the thing just looks like it's been torn apart. And he said that, so I went about the business of putting the doors and windows, everything back in place because he thought that somebody had gone up there and ransacked it, but they didn't take anything. Well, later that night, he hears like bam, 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 like something banging on the door, and he hears something trampling, like feet stomping on the, on the cabin deck. And he looks out the window, and there's a moose, and it's banging, it's trying to get in. And he's like, dude, this must have been what, messed with my, whatever, my cabin. And he goes to get his rifle, and then he turns and it's gone. And he's like, and he goes, I went out there the next day, there weren't even any tracks.
Wow.
So that was weird. But yeah, we've heard it all on this show. It comes like there's so many weird stories, and I'll get stories that aren't even paranormal. People just tell me, hey, I got a weird story. You want to hear a weird story, blah, blah, blah. And I listen to them. I entertain them. I'll be like, yeah, whatever. And sometimes they're show worthy, and sometimes they're not, and sometimes they are show worthy, and I just don't get to them. But I'm glad you're doing what you're doing, and I hope you and your colleagues continue to do what you do. Do you want to say? Do you want to tell us anything else about your show and what you guys have got coming up on what's on tap?
We've got several conventions we're hitting next year. Couple paranormal. One is with John Zaffis, so I'm pretty excited about that one. And we're actually doing a Bigfoot conference, our first one, and I believe that's in Gatlinburg. So I'm pretty excited about that one too. And you got to send me dates for yours so I can put it on our calendar.
Yeah. Gatlinburg, Kentucky, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, Gatlinburg,
Tennessee,
Tennessee.
Tennessee. Sorry about
Yes.
that. Gatlinburg.
Yeah.
I always get Tennessee and Kentucky. They're so similar.
Yeah.
Wonderful people though. Good states. So
Yeah.
let me ask you a question. John Zaffis. What conferences? I've always wanted to meet John Zaffis.
It's up in Michigan. I believe it's Ann Arbor, and it's March 4th or 10th, something like that. But it's called Potographs for Pooches. And a friend of ours, Tim Miley, he does it to raise money for animal shelters. And so all of these people, they donate their time, and he holds conferences, and John Zaffis is one that has donated his time to be there. So I'm pretty excited about that one.
Well, you get to meet him. Tell him that he's got a fan.
Yeah. Me too.
I'll never forget the haunting in Connecticut, where
Yeah,
it
me
almost
either.
turned him away from doing what he did because it was so terrifying. Somebody
Yeah.
asked me about that one time. What would make me turn away from this? And I said nothing. At
Yeah.
this point, it's nothing. The fact that I have haters out there still around, that keeps me going.
Right.
If they
Yep.
stopped hating me, then I'm not doing something right. So
Yeah.
brought us back
Yeah.
in. So
Yeah, that's me. I just, that's us. We just, want to keep spreading the word and educating ourselves and others. That's what we do.
yeah.
So
And keep doing what you do and keep believing and keep spreading awareness. Guys, check out Blondes and Booze and Blondes, Booze and the Woo.
yes, we appreciate it.
Friday. Your show comes on at the same time as mine, though, right? At 8:00.
I know, and that's a bummer. So,
Yeah,
like
you're gonna have to change
not
it.
last
That's a
week,
bummer.
but you got to talk to Tex on that one.
Well,
He's the one that set us up on the Friday night ones.
I can get on there right now. Let me send him a message. This
There you go.
message, you better knock your off, or you will be. I'm kidding. I'm joking. I love Tex.
Yeah, we do too.
Yeah.
well, I just want to say real quick that the chat wants to make sure we express that they really appreciate you coming on here.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I
absolutely.
appreciate you guys having us, and Josh, I would love to have you on Blondes.
Yeah, absolutely. And we can get into some stuff for sure. My audience
Yeah.
travels well,
Yeah.
Typically, when I go on somebody's show, they do follow. And I try to keep it fresh. I don't like to talk about the same stuff. Here's what I'm doing, and I'm going to say this right now. I started writing a Dogman book that became a Bigfoot book.
Wow. Wow.
I don't know how this happened, but I started and I was like, okay, I'm going to do this Dogman. And then me and Barton did all this Bigfoot stuff. So then I started getting into that. So then I started doing two simultaneously. And now I'm going like, I don't know what I'm doing here. I'm going to try and get it untangled with the help of Ken and Barton and some other friends of mine. And maybe they can help me because they're helping me interview people and doing other stuff. So what I'm trying to do is get this stuff written, and I've decided instead of just going through and picking out a bunch of stories that I've covered and stuff I've done in the past, I will put some people's accounts on there. I had about 20 different accounts I wanted to put in each book, but I'm going to put in some of the fresh stuff that I've been getting. We get so much of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There's no reason why we can't just make it, so I can advertise that, hey, when you read this book, it's not going to be the same stories that have been rehashed or whatever. You're going to get some of the classic PRT stories, but you're also going to get newer material that we've been getting. And so that way, when you're reading something fresh. And whenever I go onto someone's show, I always like to bring fresh stories, and I have a ton of stuff because I am good friends with several people who have a ton of work, and I can always go through and access their stuff. I'm really good friends with NADP, with Albert Rosales, Josh Finocchio, Barton Nelly, all these people who have all these bodies of work, and they've been gracious enough, as long as I give them some credit, hey, I can tell their stories, and I usually run them as threads along with what I have, and so. When I do this, when these projects are complete, hopefully it's going to be like one big, mosaic.
Yeah.
People say, well, you bought off too much and you can't do this, you can't do that. Well, they said that about the conference. Me and Ken announced it in April, and by August we'd sold out. So
Yeah, you rocked it for sure.
we'll see what happens, but we hope to see you at the next one, please.
Absolutely. We will be there.
Okay.
Count us in.
And Krista,
For
thank you
sure.
for coming on and
Thank you.
I'm glad to promo you and have you. Hopefully people will go and we'll check you out.
We appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, you have a good night.
You too. Bye-bye.
And bye. So, let me get this done here.
I heard another funny animal story that these bears, they're opening these car doors, getting inside the cars, and then the doors will close. So you just got a bear locked in your car.
That is terrible. That is absolutely terrible. Wasn't there a video though of a bear inside someone's car?
Yeah, that's where I heard it.
Yeah, and they were just like, "Oh my gosh!" Like,
it's another reason to lock your door now, I guess.
There's nothing, but you know what? That's not as bad as like the dog man inside the guy. Was it Arizona? We covered that story. It was in Arizona, wasn't it? Where the security guard had the dog man. We just told it like
Yeah, I think so.
He had it in his car. You know, that werewolf, whatever it was. You know.
Oh no, it wasn't in his car. It was in one of the cars that he was watching.
Yeah, it was in the car that he was. What's crazy about that was though, I asked him repeatedly. I was like, "You sure it wasn't a bear?" And he was like, It was no bear. It was not. There was no bear over there in Arizona. It was. This was what it was.
Well, what about this is a really old story about one of the construction workers or a framer who went in real late, early in the morning. Roll out and somewhere in the Hicks or somewhere, and like he had to lock the dog man in the garage to get away, and his car wouldn't start.
Yeah, that's the Hernandez Ranch.
Exactly.
That was JoJo.
Yeah,
JoJo. Yeah, we
that's
used to work
terrifying.
with him. And Joe was like, dude, yeah, that man, or what's his name, Anthony? We used to work with at Colorado, Jaime. The one that had the thing. He didn't really see it. He didn't know exactly what it was, but it was walking around the Porta-John.
Oh, yeah.
When he got out, it was big footprints on the ground that looked like, dog tracks. Curtis, thank you for that donation. Ruby, thank you for the donation. Blue Storm, Amy, thank you, all of you who donated. It is very greatly appreciated right now, folks. I'm telling you, we had to pay how much was the vet bill? And we're not even done. We still got winter to do.
It was $700.
$700 for our pets, dude. I mean, going to the vet is expensive.
And then we spent another $700 at IKEA just to get furniture.
Trying to get furniture, and then we got to put it together too. And they're like, "My name is Van. Give us money. Here's some crap. Now you can put it together with your honey." And I'm like, "Okay, thank you, Sven." IKEA is cool though, but you know what? I'm going to say this about IKEA, and they have some really good stuff, but they have some really bad stuff.
Yeah,
they have some overpriced stuff and some really good price stuff. It's so hit or miss.
It's a mixed bag of extremes there.
It is extreme. And then it's a maze.
You either get a really good deal on something nice or you're paying too much for something not so nice.
You're waiting for the Minotaur to come out and gore you.
Yeah, you can't just go in there and go straight to what you need and get out.
No, I mean, we saw a bird in there the other day,
yesterday. A bird.
And we were like, poor thing is just going to die in here. It's never going to get out.
It's never going to get out of there. I mean, because we can't even get out of there. Yeah. Well, no, the good thing, though, but one thing we missed, though, was if you look at IKEA, it's one giant warehouse. Mm-hmm. So if the bird flies up,
it might be able to.
He might, but then again, because he has to come back down and then go, hopefully, by the grace of God, he will get out. Yeah. Pray for the bird, folks. Poor little thing. He's trapped in there. I mean, he can always go. There's food and stuff to eat. There's like a little restaurant.
You can eat them Swedish meatballs.
You can hang out at the little cafe.
I mean, it'd just be like a really giant prison that you could never leave, but you have food and
furniture. Beds.
He can
toilets,
pretty much poop on anybody's furniture he wants now.
And no predators as long as he stays away from little kids.
Isn't that kind of what we're doing now? We're all just kind of like locked down in this prison planet, basically.
Pretty much.
It's like, hey, we're free. But are we? We're just really just kind of trapped here,
Yeah.
We're given the illusion of freedom, the illusion of choice.
Yeah. I mean, So it says here, who's this? Ben Foyle Hats, I like the name. It says, love the show, guys. Doing a great job. Glad to be alive in these times. And Paul Deal says, just fireworks. But thank you.
Thank you, guys.
For those donations. We appreciate it. Greatly appreciate it. Believe me. And folks.
Very much so.
We're going to do a giveaway now. And what are we giving away, folks? What are we going to do?
How about a tumbler?
Yeah, we got a new batch of tumblers in. Go grab me one. Do we have them here?
Yeah.
I was going to say, though, Amy,
or did we leave them at the house?
I have to do probably about the same for Banjo. I saw them in the garage, but we might have some here, too.
Yeah, those in the garage are for the Christmas.
Well, I think the whole box.
You know
is
what's
in the
crazy
garage.
though? You went to do your white elephant.
I should have grabbed.
Yeah,
some.
and I was waiting for you to call if you were gonna have us, and then I thought, dude, we could have grabbed the tumblers there. You could have had this. Already.
Yeah, I know. But the thing was, I remember thinking about it like at the very end, and I was like, well, my sister pissed me off, and I just totally didn't think about it.
You can't let that happen here. I need the camera back on me, buddy.
Oh, we can take the headphones
It's
off
on you.
now.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh
I
yeah.
forgot.
Oh God.
Oh,
Yeah, it just hit me as I took them off to go
I
get
feel
that.
like when I take them off, I feel like my
Yeah.
face shrinks a little bit.
I like to
oh,
Pick
I've
the
lost
winner
weight.
if
No,
it-
you're still fat.
if it's okay.
You want to pick the winner?
Yeah.
Too bad.
Oh,
that
sucks.
Okay, so I guess. Okay, so
Bad for you.
Oh, good. Thanks
okay,
for letting
so
us know.
when you pick the winner, I'm gonna apologize to the person who didn't get picked.
Oh, really? Because
Yeah.
you were going to pick someone different than me.
Yeah.
My psychic powers will allow me to pick whoever it was that you.
Why
were
don't
gonna
we do
pick.
this? You
So
say
therefore,
yours
I
first,
win.
and then he'll choose his after. Then we'll
Actually,
just
that
see
makes
if you're
no
right.
sense what I just said, but anyway,
As usual.
this is what I got to go through.
He's gonna get his wet noodle if
You
we keep
started
bullying
this.
him.
How did I start this? Because I said no.
Yes. You
Jeez.
know what happens when you
Folks.
don't give me what I want.
You see how this man
Get
is?
his little wet noodle.
You remember back when how he used to treat us when we were first. He'd be over there going.
Okay, someone had to do
He
it.
was screaming, folks, at us, and we'd look over and he'd be yelling. But we were doing audio. See, y'all didn't see this man going crazy. And then sometimes he would yell, and then he would have to go through and edit out entire parts because he was screaming at us.
Yeah.
But it worked because if you notice, you don't swivel your head away from the microphone a million times
What are
like you
talking
used to.
about? I do it all the time. I just did it right
Okay.
now. Whatever. And Alex going back and forth between us here.
Yeah.
The dog man's running in and out of the microphone.
Chasing us.
Okay. Oh, crazy. Here it is right here. This is the tumbler. It's got both logos on there. Josh Sprague, thanks a lot. Him and his wife over at and his sister Ciara. I want to thank all of them over at Seven Clay. They made these. They do a great job. Seven Clay, folks. They do an awesome job on the merchandising. They made these hats. I can't say enough about them. So we're going to give away, how many tumblers are we giving away? Oh, you want to do a tumbler and a hoodie? Let's take a vote, folks. A tumbler, a hoodie, and a hat?
Yeah.
It's all a good deal.
What do
to
y'all
me.
think? 3 different people? Y'all want to pick, everybody pick somebody?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we can do that.
I'll go
Next
first.
Friday, join us next Friday, folks, because the Christmas is going to be real, dude. It's going to be real. We're going to talk about Krampus. We're going to talk about Santa Claus. We're going to talk about all kinds of stuff. And we're going to do a dozen. You heard me right. I'm going to get a notepad out for that because I still write everything down because I can't type. And we're gonna do a dozen giveaways for Christmas.
And we have some new stuff coming in too.
New stuff
that-
coming in, new hats. Hopefully, we'll have them in by Friday. We're supposed to have them in by the 23rd. That's the show, right?
Mhm.
23rd. Okay. We're gonna give away a dozen things. We're gonna start advertising it right now. A dozen things, and everybody who wins anything gets a book. Okay. And then when we drop the episode on Paranormal Roundtable group, you can always make comments and you can win that way too. Go to Paranormal Roundtable group, and I forgot to pin this to the featured, but it talks about a little creature that was found in Wyoming. Everybody needs to go and check that out. Go find it. I'm going to try and find it. I believe I posted it on my personal page too. It was a little creature that was found in Wyoming, and you guys, I don't know exactly what episode of PRT it was, but I talk about it. I think it's in the 1 hour episodes. If you go to YouTube, if you're on YouTube, you can very simply go to the regular shows, which I think are they videos? It's videos, right?
Yeah.
So videos are the 1 hour shot, the 1 hour shots, whatever, and then go to lives, and that's this. You can get all the live streams, tons of content on here, because we could do more we didn't have to pay to do live streams, so it was cheaper, more affordable option. Whereas we had to pay to drop those episodes. We were actually paying to make the podcast episodes and not getting paid for it at all. So we were like, we got to make a business decision here. So we went strictly to YouTube. But all those shows are on YouTube. We have 300 and something episodes of stuff, which I think it's something like 500 or 600 hours worth of material. So it's just hours and hours of material. But anyway, we got these tumblers. We're going to give one away. And we have 4 different colors. We have a powder blue,
maroon, black, and
and green.
navy blue.
Or
I mean,
green?
I'm powder. Yeah, green.
Yeah.
blue, black, green, and maroon.
Mhm.
This is the maroon one. So we're gonna give them away, and we'll give away a hoodie. We have all the sizes from I think the sizes go from large, which they're cut a little bit small, but they go from large up to 5X. So if you're a medium and you can fit into a large, we don't have many mediums because there's not that many people. They're small. Like they all run small. I don't know why. The ones from Seven Clay are the same way as the ones from Printful. Yeah, they all just kind of run small, but they're very nice. They're well made. But anyway, they're free. We're doing a giveaway, but you're always welcome to go and buy them as Christmas gifts. Our PRT merch is pretty cool. It makes a nice Christmas present. I got people that just like the logo. They're like, "Oh, I don't watch your show. I just like your merchandise." To each his own. I mean, that's what you want, But that is the deal there. So we're gonna do a dozen giveaways next Friday because it's Christmas and we want everybody to be happy and cheery for Christmas, even though it didn't really feel like Christmas for us because it's been so hectic and work's been kicking our butt and we've been having some issues at work and please pray for us. Just work has just been brutal. Been having problems and got to get some things corrected for sure. And I just gotta keep pushing, do what we got to do. So anyway, go ahead and pick. I'll let you start, Anthony. You can pick since you're so determined.
It's about time. Okay, so you think I didn't notice, but I did. Mickey G, you finally get to win. So yeah, just find Wolf on Facebook Messenger. Let him know. Let him know your information, your name, and an address to ship
or email.
Yeah, you can hit him up on Facebook Messenger or send him an email. The email address is in the description of every video, but if you can't find it for some reason, if it's not there, it's Josh Turner at prtpodcast.com. Just like I said, just shoot him a message with your name and your address to ship this beautiful tumbler to.
Yeah, and don't forget the email address. I mean, you can use it if you want to send a story or whatever. But if you go to Messenger on Facebook, it's easy for me to keep track. But that you can use either one. But you need to send me, if you send me a friend request on Facebook, please let me know that you are a listener of the show, because I'm sitting there going like, I don't know you. It's Shadrach Bubbles Fish. I don't know who you are. I mean, it's like, yeah, it's me. Are you a listener of the show? And they don't respond. So you sent me a friend request. Why? And I don't accept friend requests just because we have a bunch of mutuals. If you're not listening to the show and I don't know you, then there's nothing, whatever. So anyway, so this person, you picked Mickey G.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They win what? A tumbler, a
hat, and
a hat, or a
hoodie? I thought it was a three-piece. Or they just get one of it.
I thought we were giving away a hat, a tumbler, and a hoodie. But now that Tony just said
okay,
that,
so I don't know.
Everybody gets a free autograph book too.
Cool.
Okay, so you're gonna get that. But now Tony's over here opening up the floodgates and saying that now everybody's gonna want that, folks.
Why don't we just give away all of our equipment?
I guess.
These headphones,
Yeah.
and I will sign them if you want to. I don't know why, but you can have them.
Alec, pick up that computer you built for the show, put it on camera, and let's give it away.
Alex, we're just going to give you
Tony
away
is
as well.
going to pay for the next round of mugs. And yay, Tony! Everybody give him a clap. Come on, guys. Yay.
Generous Tony.
Tony, we're going to give it all away. Give it away now. Okay, so Mickey G, you're the first one that got picked, so you can decide. I'll let you decide. We got a tumbler, a hoodie, and a hat we're going to give away. And, of course, you'll get an autographed book from one of 12 different authors. So you decide, Mickey. And now, Tony, you go to the next winner.
Okay. I am going to choose Danita Whiteson. You see that? Where? Right there.
That's Whitson.
So Danita Whitson.
Wow, Danita Whiteson, huh?
There's not even an E in there for it to be
What is
white.
what is wrong
It's
with this guy?
Whitson.
You don't know how they say their name.
You have glasses.
How dare you say their
Are they
name?
not strong enough?
Why would you
Because I'm
say their
literate.
name? Well, yeah, but that's not how they might say it.
Whitson is
You can't identify their name for them.
It would
like
be
that.
WHITESON
Mickey G
if
wants
it
the
was
hoodie?
Whiteson.
okay. I
But
gotta
there's
write
no
this down.
E. It's Whitson.
It could be a
Okay, you have
silent,
the
invisible
notebook?
E.
You have the
Okay, so let's let Danita Whitson clarify this up in the
notebook? Okay,
comments. Is
guys,
it Whitson
that's
or
right.
Whiteson?
Is it Whitson or
Either
White?
way, you win.
Yeah.
Do we have a pen, somebody? While y'all argue about pointless things. See, this is how it works in my household. I get things done, and my brothers and them just do stupid things and say stupid things, and nothing happens.
It wouldn't be PRT if we didn't.
Yeah, whatever. Who keeps the machine running here, Alec?
God.
Great answer.
Okay, he goes. Like, are you talking? Okay, God. All right, God. God.
He gave the
talking
home-
about. Okay, God gives who the ability to keep PRT
He
running.
gave the Home Depot. I mean the
Okay, he's not gonna answer me.
He gave the home improvement answer.
Okay. All right. So, Danita,
Yeah.
tell us how you pronounce your name. Okay.
So if I'm correct and it's Whitson, you can type my name and say Anthony's right.
And what we have
If
left,
Tony's right, then just say that.
what we have left is the tumbler and a hat. So we got what is the other person's name? Mickey G.
Yeah.
She wants a hoodie.
How do you know it's a he? It's she.
Mickey sounds like
Curtis
a
Turner.
female
Think
name. My
Mushu
bad,
dropping
but-
the ball as always. Jeez, bro. Laugh out loud. Yeah, Curtis. You know. You know. The struggle is real, brother. You know it.
Yeah, Curtis never lets up on Tony.
Tony
he,
needs to be never let up on. That's how Tony is.
He definitely bullies me. Whatever.
He definitely bullies you.
I
you bully
thought
Banjo.
I thought I saw. Oh,
I think Danita's actually watching like a few minutes behind.
I think she said she wants a hoodie.
No, that was Mickey G.
No, I think she. Yeah. Sorry, I mentioned a hoodie. I'm always cold and want a hoodie. But if I can buy one, I'll look it up. How?
Who?
Danita.
She wants a hoodie too.
I think so.
Okay. She's always cold.
I don't want to call her because I don't know.
Well, then
Danita?
I'm pretty sure Danita.
Oh, Mickey
is
is not a female
This-
name, but all
yeah.
of a sudden,
Dude, my friend Mickey Butler is a guy. I mean, you know, like, how do you?
You said Mickey isn't a female name. She just said I'm a girl.
I never.
Once
said
again,
that.
wrong.
Well, he just said Mickey's the guy.
What is
So.
this
just
guy
like-
doing, man?
No.
Are you tripping or something?
He said he had a friend who is a guy whose name is Mickey.
What about Mickey Mantle? Was that?
you
how
said-
did she do in the Olympics?
You said Mickey isn't a female name. It can be both.
Mickey Mantle play for the Yankees. Who is that? I've never. Who are these Mickey? Mickey Rivers play for the Rangers. I've never heard of a female.
Well, there's one in the chat right now. Mickey G's a female.
She's a female.
She's a
She
female.
confirmed it. Okay. I've actually never heard of a female athlete named Mickey, but there are actually one of Heather's friends is named Mickey. You know, our chiropractor.
Okay, so
All right, so a hoodie. So we have the tumbler and we have the hat. So Danita, because we have a limited number of hoodies that we have to give away. After Christmas, we'll have a better idea because we're doing the Christmas giveaway next week. Also, Aaron, who gave the donations, what was the last name?
Aaron, he says he bought a
Shaw.
Shaw. He bought a bit from the store too.
yeah.
He said he had a tumbler, and I think he said he had a hoodie too.
Oh, he's already got it all?
I don't know if he has it all.
Well, let me know your information. I'll send you an autographed book. Tell me which author you want. Okay, so Danita Whitson, and she gets a either a tumbler or a hat. So that's what we have left.
And you want to pick Alec, the last one?
Thank you for that, Blues Cruise. One of the best live streams on YouTube. Keep up the super hard work. Onward and upward. Thank you so much. Oh, and Mickey, we need your information. You're gonna have to send me your address, and you're gonna have to give me your size.
She says she sent it, but her name's I think she said her name's Michelle, but there's like 12 in the chat.
Don't say the name if she doesn't want her name being known. Danita Whitson. Okay. Give me your size, Danita, on that hoodie, and we'll see what we can do. All right, now we're gonna have to pick a hat. Person for the hat.
Well, someone named Amy keeps saying hat.
Amy what?
Don't solve that. Just Amy.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, AI. Yeah.
Yeah, it's Amy with 2 E's.
Yeah.
There's no last name.
Damn it, Anthony's right.
Of course Anthony's right. There was a time when Anthony thought he was wrong, but he was mistaken.
So, Amy, you want a hat, and now I'll pick somebody. We'll even do a fourth one here. We'll make it even more interesting.
You get a gift, and you get a gift. Everybody gets a gift.
How about Heather Sargent? Heather Sargent, have you won before? She says, last time I checked, I'm a girl. Okay, well, the thing is, he kept saying you were a female before we knew you were a female, because Mickey is a predominantly male name, but it's like Kelly. It can be male or female. So that was the thing. So, all right, folks. Heather Sargent, if you want to win something, I picked you. So let me know. And Maynard W said it right. Santa Wolf next week. We're going to do it. 12 giveaways, folks. We're going to do it. That's why we're going to have to get on these mail offs now for tomorrow so we can get it done. All right. Well, Heather, you're going to have to give me your information if you want something. She says, I don't have Facebook. My email address is joshturner@prtpodcast.com. joshturner@prtpodcast.com. One more time, joshturner@prtpodcast.com. Send me your stories. Or if you just want to send me something crazy, weird, you want me to read it, I like to read stuff. I read it all. That's all I do all the time is just read. So congratulations to tonight's winner is Heather Sargent. If you want a tumbler, I'll send you a tumbler. But for everybody here at PRT, thanks for listening. Thanks for tuning in. We had a great time. We talked about some crazy, scary stuff. We had some people come on and talk. Good night. Thank you. Next week, next Friday is our Christmas.
Good night, Merry Christmas.
Mm-hmm.